everyone.
Buenos
If I
días.
can ask for
No,
this
espérame.
meeting to begin to come to order. Welcome to
Pido
City
que
Hall,
la
welcome to
sesión
Council Chambers, and
se
welcome to the
abrirá
meeting of the Los Angeles
muy
City
poco tiempo.
Council for
Bienvenidos al
today,
Consejo
Friday,
Municipal y
May
a
30th,
la ciudad de
2003.
Los
The
Ángeles. Hoy
City
es
Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to
el
the
30
public,
de
and we do
mayo,
invite
que es
everyone to
un
join
viernes.
us. For members of the
El
public
Consejo
unable to
Municipal
attend
se reúne
council
todos los
meetings, we
martes,
can
los
be viewed
miércoles y los
live
viernes.
on
Todo el
your
mundo
cable
está
station, Channel
invitado a
35.
presenciar
We can
nuestras
be viewed
reuniones en
live
persona.
via
Se pueden ver en
webcast on the
persona,
city's
pueden vernos a
homepage
través de la página de
or via
internet
council
de la
phone.
ciudad o vía
It is now
telefónica.
10:15 a.m.
Son las
and
10:15
I
de la
believe we have
mañana.
5
Creo que
members
tenemos
present
5
at this
miembros
time.
presentes
We
ahorita.
do need 10
Sin
for a
embargo, necesitamos 10
quorum
miembros
to
para
conduct
completar un
official business
quórum
today.
para
As
iniciar
we
la
are shy
reunión
of
de
a
hoy.
quorum, but this being Friday,
Pero ya
as
que
is
esto es un
customary, we have a
viernes,
series of presentations and
Hay
introductions
varias
scheduled.
presentaciones
Let's begin today's
especiales, por lo tanto,
presentations
la
by
presentación del día
recognizing
de hoy
Councilmember
empezará
Zine.
con el concejal.
Mr. Zine, we ready to go? All right.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Tom Levans.
Muchas gracias.
You are quite the cheerleader, Tom Levans. Thank you, Mr. President.
Muchas
colleagues.
gracias, señor presidente. Muchas gracias,
Joining me,
colegas.
Jeffrey
Junto
Garfield
conmigo es Jeffrey Godfrey
and Kyle
y Kyle
Bowser. Bowser.
Kyle
I'm glad you spelled
Bowser.
that correctly, Mr. Garfield. Today we are honoring an
Hoy
outstanding
estamos
organization that
en una
represents
organización
that many new
extraordinaria que
voices in the
representa
entertainment
muchas
arena.
voces en el arena de entretenimiento.
NAMIC, the National Association of Minorities in Communications, represents the cable television
Representa
industry
la industria de
and its growing
cable
membership of
y su
channels as
membresía de
diverse as America
canales
itself.
diversos como
The association's members are
Estados Unidos.
African American,
Sus
Asian,
miembros son
Latino,
afroamericanos,
Native American,
orientales,
and all of the combinations
latinos
thereof.
y muchas
They are the
combinaciones.
decision makers of
Ellos son los
television
que hacen la
programming
decisión
that we
para la
celebrate
programación de
today
televisión
for their
y por
work
eso que estamos
in making the
celebrando por
entertainment
su
industry
trabajo por hacer
an
la
open
industria del
area
entretenimiento un
where
área
all
abierta
Americans can
para que
experience
si
the
todos
unique
los americanos
history
puedan
and
pasar la
contributions
experiencia
on the
de
screen.
la historia única y contribuciones en la gran
We also wish to
pantalla.
honor the
También
film
queremos
that won the
honrar
top
a la
awards
película
at the
que
recent
ganó
NAMIC Vision
premios
Awards held at
muy
Beverly Hilton
importantes y
Hotel.
a cabo en el Beverly
Keep
Hilton
the faith,
Hotel.
baby. The
Keep the
story
Faith,
of
la
Harlem
historia
Minister and
de
Congressman
un
Adam Clayton Powell
congresista y
Jr.
ministro
won for Best Drama and
ganó
Best
el
Dramatic
mejor
Performance
drama y el
for
mejor
its star,
presentación.
Harry Lennox. This film also has a
Esta
City
película
Hall
también
connection.
tiene una conexión con el
That it was
Ayuntamiento de la
produced
ciudad.
by
Fue
Jeffrey L.
producida por
Garfield.
Jeffrey O. Garfield.
Jeffrey L.
Jeffrey
Garfield, the
L.
legend,
Garfield, la leyenda,
worked for 10
trabajó
years
por
to
10
produce this
años
film
para producir
on his
esta
childhood idol.
película sobre
Let me
su
add that Jeffrey
ídolo
Garfield
con
helped with the
Jeffrey
Charter
también
Commission,
con la
worked for Mayor
comisión de
Reardon,
mandato, trabajó para el alcalde
worked on
Reardon,
the
trabajó
secession campaign,
en la campaña para que
and
no hubiera
now
división
works for me.
del Valle, San Fernando,
The
y ahora
Police
trabaja
Protective
para
League. Jeffrey has
me.
covered all
Jeffrey
bases, and he
tiene muchísima
spent 10
experiencia y
years
pasó 10 años
on this film.
trabajando en
Unfortunately,
esta película.
Harry Lennox could not be here
Desafortunadamente, Harry
today,
Lennox no pudo
as a
estar
few days
presente
ago he
este día,
accepted another film
y que hace
role
unos
in
cuantos días
Arkansas
aceptó
to star with
otra
Oscar winner Billy
posición en otra
Bob
película
Thornton.
al lado de
Harry has
Billy
also
Bob
worked
Thornton.
with
Harry
Oscar
también ha
winners
trabajado
Sir
con
Anthony Hopkins
el
and
señor
Ben
Anthony
Kingsley.
Hopkins y Ben
Harry
Kingsley,
personified
con Harry personified.
the charismatic pal in Keep the Faith, Baby, and you can see
the
him now
Faith,
in
Baby.
Matrix Reloaded and
Ahora
soon
él también
Matrix
está
Revolution
en
and
esa
the Ray
película,
Charles
en
story
Matrix
starring
Reloaded.
Jamie Foxx.
Y muchas
And I
otras
have the
películas.
executive
Tengo
producer
también al
with us,
productor ejecutivo
and
con
also
nosotros
Jeffrey
y también a
Garfield.
Jeffrey
And I have
Garfield.
presentations, Keep
Tengo
the Faith, Baby,
presentaciones
and
Keep
also
the Faith,
for
Baby
NAMIC.
también
And
para
Kyle, we're going to
NAMIC.
turn the microphone
Kyle,
over to you as you're the
a usted,
executive
ya que usted es
producer
el productor
for a few words.
ejecutivo, para que nos diga unas cuantas palabras. Felicitaciones.
Thank you, Councilman.
Muchas
I really
gracias.
appreciate the honor today
Es
and
un gran honor
to
estar aquí
the
con
City
ustedes el día
Council
de hoy,
and to the
desde
City
la
of Los
Municipal y a la
Angeles.
ciudad de Los
On behalf
Ángeles, de
of
parte
NAMIC,
de
I want to say
NAMIC,
thank you
quiero
for
darle las
this
gracias
wonderful
por
award.
este
We do
lindo
strive, as the
premio.
Councilman said, to bring all the
Tratamos
colors
de
of the rainbow
unir
to
a
the
todos los
screen. We
colores
try to encourage
en la
all of the
pantalla
cable
y tratamos de
networks
animar que
to
todas las
consider the
redes de
true
comunicación de cable
diversity of our
consideren la
nation as
diversidad
they
verdadera de nuestra
program their
nación
networks. And we
Mientras
think that the Namick Vision
fijan el
Awards is an
horario de
excellent forum
programación,
for
creo
them
que
to
este
show, to
premio es
demonstrate
una gran
exactly
manera
what they
para que
are
ellos
doing in
demuestren
that
exactamente lo
regard.
que están haciendo
For
tocante
the City
esto,
Council to
para que el
recognize
Consejo
our
Municipal
efforts,
reconozca
for
nuestros
Councilman
esfuerzos
Zine
para que
to
el
present us with
concejal
this
Zine nos
proclamation.
presente
We feel
esta
deeply honored, and
convocatoria.
thank you
Nos
very much,
da
sir.
un gran honor. Muchas gracias, señor.
And Jeffrey, a man who always has a few words to say. Jeffrey. Jeff
Jeffrey.
Garfield.
Thank you very much. I just want to
Muchas
thank the
gracias. Quiero
council
dar
for
gracias
this
al Consejo
honor. This
Municipal
is
por este
the
honor.
award that they gave us,
Este es el premio que
Namick
nos
Vision Awards
entregaron
2003,
el
Best Drama, Keep the
2003,
Faith Baby, which was a
por
Showtime
mejor
Paramount
drama,
production.
Keep the Faith
Adam
Baby.
Clayton Powell may be familiar to those of us who are probably a little above 40, but he was a famous
El
and
señor
charismatic and controversial
Era un
congressman, the
hombre, un
first
congresista
black
de
to go to
Harlem,
Congress from New York State and the
del
Northeast,
estado de
and the
Nueva
first
York y
to chair a
Noreste,
standing committee, the
el primero
House
que fue
Education and Labor
presidente
Committee, which
de un comité.
the entire war on poverty back in the early 60s under the Johnson administration came through. And at one point, his committee
También su
controlled
comité
15% of the entire
15% de
United States budget.
el
So I want to
presupuesto
thank
de
you
los
once
Estados Unidos.
again,
De nuevo, muchas
and
gracias. Y
hopefully I'll be doing some
espero
films about some of the council members here for all the great work that you do.
poder
Thank you very much.
también hacer
Thank you,
películas
Mr.
sobre
President.
los concejales por su gran trabajo. Muchas
Mr.
gracias,
Zine.
señor Zine.
Congratulations to my old friend,
Felicitaciones
Mr. Garfield.
al señor
Let
Garfield.
me ask Mr. Labange to
Señor
come
Labange,
forward with our
pase
next
por favor con la
presentation.
siguiente
As he comes
presentación.
forward, let me now
Ahora me
recognize,
gustaría reconocer también,
Good morning, Mr. President.
before I
señor
get
Labange, un
started,
momento,
because there's council officers in
ya
the
que
building
hay
listening to
oficiales
us as
municipales
we
que nos están
speak.
escuchando.
We now have
Ahora
6 members
tenemos 6
present. It is
miembros
10:20
presentes, son
a.m.
las 10:20 de la
Mr.
mañana.
Bernstein,
Señor
Mr.
Bernstein,
Galantis,
señor
Ms. Hahn,
Galante,
Mr.
Gruhl,
Holden, Mr.
Hunt,
Pacheco,
Holden,
Mr. Parks,
Pacheco,
Ms. Perry, and
Parks,
Mr.
Perry y
Weiss.
señor Weiss.
Your presence is
Su
needed in
presencia
council
se
chambers. If we
necesita en
reach,
el Consejo Municipal.
let's
Si
say 10:45, and we
llegamos
have
a las
not achieved a
10:45 y aún no
quorum, we may
tenemos
adjourn
un
for lack of a
quórum,
quorum.
quizás levantaremos una
Mr.
sesión por
Weiss.
falta de quórum. Gracias.
I want to call on Angelina Galactiva to come up
Angelina,
here
que
right
la
now.
pase, por favor.
For those in the chambers, I
Para
know
los que
all
están en esa
council
sala,
and
yo
council
sé
staff
que
know Angelina for her
muchos
great
de
work
ustedes
since
conocen a Angelina por su
1997 with the
trabajo
Los
desde el
Angeles
97
Department
con el
of Water
Departamento
Power,
de
in charge of the Green Power
Electricidad, encargado
Program,
del programa
in charge of the
de
environmental affairs efforts of the department
jardines
and new
y
product
por los
development.
esfuerzos de
In her
cuidado
capacity,
ambiental.
she has been
En su
responsible for
puesto es responsable
restructuring
para
the programs that we
reorganizar
have
los
and
programas
implementing
que
some of the
hemos
most
estado
aggressive,
implementando,
innovative, progressive, and successful in the
los programas más
auspices of a green
exitosos y más
power
progresivos en
need.
el campo y la necesidad
She
de
has been
poder
excellent in every
tener más
area
espacios verdes.
possible
Ella
in the sense that when you start something new,
ha tenido un gran
and
éxito
I'm
desde el
talking to
punto
the
de vista de
chambers
cuando uno
here,
empieza
sometimes you're
algo
on that
nuevo,
great
algunas veces
track like a hurdler,
uno está
and you
en
jump
el
over one
camino
hurdle and
como
you
un
may hit that bar,
corredor,
and but you
llega
get
es
right
el
back up
fin de
and you keep
carrera
firing away.
y
'Cause
continúa
for
y
us to
continúa
win, we
porque
got to
para
get to
poder
green
ganar
power
tenemos
and
que
natural resources. So it's
empezar a
so
utilizar y
important.
que
Because
utilizar
Angelina, you've
recursos
had
naturales
that,
muy importante
and
porque
her
Angelina
ability
usted tuvo
to,
esto
as
y
my
la
coach would
habilidad,
say,
como
is
mi entrenador
because
me
she
decía, es
has
porque
those
ella
ability
tiene
to
esas
jump over
habilidades
those
para
hurdles and keep going no matter whatever knocked you down. You pushed
que
them
los
over and you
obstáculos
worked it
no
all the
la
way. Green
impidan
Power for a
continuar.
Green LA program, the most
Este
successful green
programa
financing
es
program in the
un
nation, and
programa
a
más
winner of a
exitoso en la
Global
nación y
Energy
ganó
Award
un
was her
premio por la
responsibility.
energía.
Solar Power for a Green LA recognizes one of the most progressive,
Reconoce uno de los
customer-focused
más
programs in the
uno de
nation,
los programas
responsible
más
for locating several
progresivos
major solar
que se enfoca
manufacturing
en
facilities
los
in the city of
clientes
Los Angeles, and over 100 new installations throughout
para
Los
señales
Angeles.
educales
And we all
sobre
may or may not know, but our own Los Angeles
la
Convention
utilización de
Center, located
reciclaje.
on
Este centro
Figueroa
está
Street,
ubicado en la
is
calle
the
Figueroa.
largest solar panel
Este es
project in the
proyecto,
country,
la planta
which you
solar
see
más
when you
grande
go
en
on
el
the
país.
interchange of the Santa Monica
Se puede
Freeway
ver desde el
and the
freeway de la
Harbor
Santa
Freeway.
Mónica y el
Electric
freeway
transportation for Green LA,
transportación
deployment
eléctrica
of the
para
largest
Green
zero-emission
Los
fleet
Ángeles, Los
and
Ángeles
infrastructure in the
Verde,
world,
que Los
which
Ángeles
is so
Verde que haya
important.
más
Tree planting for a
espacio
Green
con
LA.
jardines.
And I'm proud to say, members,
Me da mucho orgullo
I
decir,
for
miembros,
this
yo
program
trabajé
representing
por
all
este
of us,
programa
planted the
representando todo.
11,000th tree,
Planté
11,000th tree, if I say that
11,000
correctly,
árbol
in the beautiful old zoo area of Griffith
en
Park
el
just
área
about 3 weeks
zoológico en el
ago. It's a
Parque
wonderful, I
Griffith
was
hace
there
3
yesterday, and it's a
semanas.
big, beautiful sycamore, and it's taken
Es un
hold
árbol
into the
muy
ground.
lindo.
Energy efficiency for Green LA, recycling for Green LA, education for Green
Muchísimos
LA,
programas de
all very
educación.
important components. The
Todos
Cool
esos son
Schools
componentes muy
program, all that was
importantes.
good. And there's an
Todo
awful lot
lo
of good
que
about
es
Los
bueno, hay
Angeles
muchísimo
Department
más
of
buenos
Power,
para
but there was a lot of good in this
que ha
effort here
resultado de este
that
esfuerzo
Angelina was about.
esa
So
línea
I, on behalf of the mayor
fue
of
muy
the city of Los
reconocida
Angeles and the
de parte
council
del
members of
alcalde,
this
de
city
los
council,
los
here on
concejales de
this
este
dear day, salute
ayuntamiento,
Angelina
felicitamos a
Galectiva
Angelina
for her
Galectiva
work
por
since
su trabajo desde
1997 with the Los Angeles
1997 con
Department
el
of Water and
Departamento
Power and its green
de
power programs.
Energía
You're off to a new adventure,
de agua.
but not
Se irá
before
usted
getting
a
this great
otro-
commendation blessed by the seal of the city of Los
iniciar
Angeles.
otro gran-
Congratulations. Okay? Yeah, that's it.
Mr. Garcetti.
And before the great Rhodes Scholar speaks, I just want to let you know, you'll like this. I got a cable. Do you like that? It's really a fax,
Quiero
but I like to say
que
cable.
mencione
Because
esto.
it came from over the ocean, from Bonn, Germany. I understand, Mr. Labange, a resolution will be
Yo entiendo,
given in recognition today from Miss Angelina Galectiva. And it goes on to say, the World Council for Renewable Energy welcomes the resolution in recognition of Angelina Galectiva for her dedicated efforts in advancement of solar energy and environmental protection in Los Angeles. Her creative commitment is highly estimated in the global community of solar energy practices. Excuse me. In 2002, she was one of the few invited speakers of the World Renewable Energy Policy Strategy Forum here in Berlin. The shadows of energy solutions over societies become larger and darker. And old African wisdom says, turn your face to the sun and you will lead you to the shadow behind you. Angelina Galectiva is an outstanding driving force for leading society into the solar future. It's Dr. Hermann Scheer from the World Council of Renewable Energy. Just came this morning, cable from Berlin. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Laban.
Felicitaciones.
Let me recognize Mr. Garcetti.
Para el señor
Thank you very
Garcetti.
much,
Muchas
Mr.
gracias, señor
President.
presidente.
And you have set the bar. You've
Usted ha
really set the bar in this city,
el
in this
nivel
country, and in this
elevado
world
esta
for what we
ciudad,
can do.
en el
And I
país
think
y
you've
en
gotten the
este mundo,
recognition
y usted ha
worldwide
recibido
when Financial
reconocimiento en todo
Times
el
shows
mundo
us as the
cuando
best green power program in the
es
world for a
se
municipal
muestra
utility.
y se ha mostrado
You
de
understand the
que
environment isn't just
este es el
about
momento
power
adecuado
production.
para
It's also about transportation, it's about housing, it's about
utilizar
building, it's about our
energía
homes, it's about our
solar.
workplaces.
Todo eso
And
tiene que ver
environmental
con nuestros
leadership,
hogares,
let's face
con
it, is
nuestra
about
comunidad,
taking
con nuestra ciudad.
risks. And whenever you
Este
take
tipo
those
de
risks, there are
riesgos,
perils as well.
Tenemos que
And
tomar
it's,
riesgos.
I think true leadership
Riesgos,
is the
y
person
creo
who's
que el
willing
liderazgo
to
verdadero es la
continue to
persona
fight
que
ahead
continúa
and take
luchando
those risks,
del futuro
even
y
when we know
tomando esos
sometimes there will be
riesgos,
failures
aunque
along the way.
nosotros sabemos
The
que
first person who
fallaremos
said
en
we should
cambio,
use
pero la
fluorescent
persona que dijo
bulbs
que debemos
in
utilizar
a building, or the
diferentes
first
tipos
person who
de
said maybe we should consider
luces o
building a
quizás
car out of something
considerar
other
un
than
carro,
that would be powered on
construir
something
un
other than
carro
gasoline.
que
This is the
utilizará
kind of
otra
leadership
cosa
that
más
you've
que
shown us,
gasolina. Es el tipo de
and I
liderazgo
want to
que
thank you
usted
from
ha
the bottom of my
mostrado.
heart,
Quiero dar
because
gracias
knowing that there was
desde mi corazón
somebody
porque
who
sabiendo
was
que
on that side of the
hay
utility
alguien que
side who was
ha estado en
not
este
only as
lado, en el
passionate,
lado
probably
de
more
los para
passionate than
servicios
anybody
públicos con
here
esta gran
about cleaning up
pasión
this city and cleaning up this world.
aquí para limpiar esta
I
ciudad
can't
y
think
este
of
mundo.
a better person than you for
Usted es
bringing
la
that mission
persona
to bear,
ejemplar para
and
que esta
you have
misión
definitely
ha sido
made
reconocida
this a
en todo el
greener
mundo. Usted
city, and we'll
definitivamente ha hecho
welcome
que
you
esta
on the greener
ciudad tenga
pastures
más
as well.
lugares,
In your
más
next step of the way, know
jardines.
that your
Y
partners remain
bienvenido,
here as your friends and loyal
bienvenidos y
advocates.
felicitaciones
Congratulations.
y buena suerte en el futuro.
Mr. Zine,
Señor
followed by
Zine.
Ms. Misikowski
La
and
señora
Mr. Reyes.
Misikowski, señor
Thank you,
Reyes.
Mr. President and colleagues. I see you have your co-workers and your fans with
Aquí
you,
están sus
and there's many of those
trabajadores,
around the
sus
city of Los
fanáticos,
Angeles.
y hay muchas
Our
personas en
paths
Los
have
Angeles
crossed many
también
occasions up at
que la
Griffith
admiran.
Park when we had an event up there,
Pasaba
the
a
LA
través de Griffith
Marathon,
Park, tuvimos
and you
evento
know I'm a
allá, el LA
motorcycle rider,
Marathon.
so you were very gracious in giving me for a loan a motorcycle with 2 wheels and an electric engine to see if that would work, the electric bicycle, to see if I would switch from my Harley Davidson to the electric bicycle. And I did for a short time.
Usted sabe
But I want to commend you on your
me
energy,
gusta
your enthusiasm. You've
montar
always
bicicleta y
been the smiling
motocicleta,
face,
y usted una vez,
enthusiastic about what you're
parece una
doing and how you're
motocicleta
doing it, and the people who work with you.
que
And that energy
utilizaba
has really
energía
been
en vez de
contagious
gasolina.
to
Yo la
make things
utilicé.
work for the city of Los Angeles. Sorry to see you
Muchos
go,
otros ejemplos,
but
pero
as we know, there's
felicitaciones,
always
muchas
greener
gracias por su
pastures as our
gran
careers
esfuerzo y por su gran
change and pass
trabajo.
on.
Nos da
But you've
mucha
made
pena
a definite
ver que se
impact
va,
on the
pero
city of
usted
Los Angeles.
definitivamente ha hecho
I
un
know you
gran
made an
impacto en
impact on the
Los
Department of
Ángeles,
Water and
también el
Power personnel.
departamento
And for all the better of
de
LA,
WP
I want to thank
y
you and wish you the
de parte de
best
Los
in your
Ángeles, y me quiero
endeavors
dar
in the
las gracias
future.
y
God
desearle lo
bless you.
mejor
Thank
en
you.
su futuro. Felicitaciones.
Ms. Misikowski.
Señora Misikowski.
And Angelina, as you're leaving, you can look around you, not only with your colleagues and cohorts who are behind you, but the members of the council. You have left your imprint on this city, in the trees that you've planted, in the cleaner air that is around all of us because of you. And you've left the impact on our streets, you've left the impact in our schools. If anyone's ever seen, I think we all have, Angelina with a group of school kids with their caps and shovels and their tree planting. She just is inspirational. You've left your imprint in their hearts and minds and souls, and they're going to be better environmentalists forever as a consequence. So you aren't leaving the city because your imprint is here and all around us. And members, talk about a person who can give direction. I've seen Angelina give direction to Mayor Reardon. I've seen Angelina give direction to Mayor Hahn, to her general managers at DWP. She takes charge, she gets it done, and more importantly, everybody listens. It's that inspiration, it's that spirit, it's that energy. And it also, I think, is a credit not only to you, but to the city's Department of Water and Power. I did battle here, as many may remember, with Mike Hernandez over the leak blower issue. We had battle in difficult times. Angelina came in afterwards with the DWP managers and says, let us try, let us create a prototype, let us do this right, soothing and bringing people together, showing us what could be done. Same thing with the electric vehicles that we're talking about. It was having your eye on the path, knowing where you were wanting to go, not worrying about the fights and the infighting, but to take this department and this city to soar to the heights that it has. And I think the public of the city of Los Angeles should be expressing today its gratefulness and gratitude to you, and best of luck in everything else you do.
Felicitaciones.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Angelina, this morning we have with us Mount Washington Grammar School. They are a cool school. Maybe they can like to stand.
Pónganse de pie.
And I want you to recognize them
Quiero
because
que sepa que ellos están aquí porque
I draw this connection because they are beneficiaries of the cool school programs. They now have trees on their playgrounds. The teacher, Ms. Ryan, and the parents, Mrs. Tornero and Mrs. Chastain, they're both here. And behalf of the parents and the kids, especially my district, that is Park Poor, where you don't have trees, we have a lot of cement and asphalt. The trees make a difference. When you talk about pressures in areas where there's so many people compacted, a tree makes a big difference. It gives shade, it gives a sense of nature, and it gives a sense of greenness that is direly needed in these areas where they basically have no place to play. So with these trees out in their schoolyards, near the cafeteria areas, these are the ways to cool down environments. More importantly, nurture our young people in the future. So on their behalf, on behalf of all the kids, thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Angelina, I know so many people have said wonderful things about you already, but want to add, I've had the pleasure of working with you. I met you actually when I was working at DreamWorks, and we were negotiating some deals and talking about things, and the energy level that you have, the ability, and I think it was maybe as Ms. Zukowski mentioned, you know, no person of power scared you. You just went right out and said what you thought. And we appreciated that, and really have taken the department to, I think, new heights on a lot of green power issues. You have been a very strong advocate, not only for the department, but out in the community, which is very, very important. You've understood the importance of involving the community in decision-making at the Department of Water and Power. So we're sad to see you go, and you have so many supporters here in Los Angeles, and I know that you're going to continue to be an advocate, and those of us that now are council members and mayors and so forth, you're going to remind us, and now you probably won't hold any punches since you're no longer a city employee after that. So anyways, I just wanted to add my congratulations and to say thank you for pushing us and nudging us and being that wonderful advocate from the Department of Water and Power to the community. Thank you, Angelina.
Angelina, I wanted to say that I had a better understanding of you the day I met your mother.
Tuve mejor entendimiento, te puedo
And I
entender
think
más
the apple
después de que
didn't fall far from that tree.
conocí a tu mamá.
And I want
Muy
to thank you
parecida a
for
tu
being
mamá.
a very
Gracias por
strong,
ser
very relevant in the
parte
moment
muy pertinente, muy
advocate
fuerte,
to make
una gran
DWP
activista para
more
que
relevant to
DWP
people who had not previously understood its mission
departamento
and
más
understood
muy
that
importante a personas que
DWP
quizás
can
no
be a
entendían la
much more
misión
vital part of their daily life. And I think you brought in a whole new
de
generation
DWP,
of people and stimulated a
Fue
level of
una
interest that
mejor
had not been in there in
una
DWP
generación que
before.
quizás no tenía
So wherever you
entendimiento.
go and whatever you do, I want you to know that I personally will be very supportive of you and look forward to hearing
De
where you
las
are in your
personas de
next step.
DWP.
But I know that we've been greatly enhanced and DWP was made a better place by your efforts.
Thank you, council members.
Muchas
I would
gracias.
just like to take this
Ahora quiero tomar
opportunity to
esta
say
oportunidad
that
para
none
decir
of this
que
would have
todo esto no hubiera
happened. We would not have had the
si
Green
no
LA
hubiéramos
programs.
tenido
We
el
would not
programa
have
de
started
Green
all
Los
of these
Ángeles, Los
environmental
Ángeles
initiatives
más,
that did not
con más
exist
lugares
before
verdes,
97.
no hubiera existido
But for the
antes del
support
97,
of the
si no
city
hubiera sido
council,
por la
so thank you,
asistencia del
council
Consejo.
members. We're
Muchas
going to
gracias
make
a
sure
todos.
that
Vamos a
these
asegurar que
programs
estos
stay.
programas
The support of the mayor's
continúen
office.
el
Thank you, Mayor Hunt, for
apoyo
being such a
del
supporter of Green
señor
LA all along,
alcalde.
and good to see you
Gracias.
here. But most of all, I would like to
También
thank
quiero
the
dar las
employees of the
gracias a
Los
los
Angeles
trabajadores del
Department of Water and
departamento de
Power, and
WP,
specifically the people
especialmente las
behind me,
personas
the
que
ones
están
that
aquí
have made
conmigo,
Green
los
LA a
que
reality.
han
Without the
hecho
support,
que
without the enthusiasm, without the
programa
dedication, and without the
Los
tireless work
Ángeles
of
Green
these
LA una
heroes, we would
realidad.
not
Sin
be where
estos
we are
héroes no
today.
seríamos donde
So thank you
estamos
so much
ahora.
for giving me the
Muchas gracias por darme
opportunity
esta
to
oportunidad
participate
para
in the life of the
participar
city
en
of
la
Los
vida de la ciudad de
Angeles,
Los
and
Ángeles.
I know that together
Y
we'll
yo sé que
continue to
juntos
make a difference.
continuaremos
And I am so
haciendo una gran
proud that
diferencia. Estoy muy
LA has
orgulloso que
become
Los
the
Ángeles ha
footprint
hecho,
for the rest of the
se
world,
ha
and it
hecho
is
la huella para el
recognized as a
resto del
leader,
mundo y
and
ha sido
hopefully we'll
reconocido
continue
como
to
un
keep
líder
it
y
this way.
espero que
We'll stay in
continúe siendo
touch, and I
esto.
look forward to the day when we can all work again. But again, let's hear it for all the heroes
De
behind
nuevo,
me, because those
un
are the
aplauso
people that
para los
make it
héroes
happen, and we'll
porque son las
continue to do it.
personas que
Thank you.
hicieron que este sueño se hiciera realidad. Gracias.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into council chambers the mayor of the great city of Los
Mayor
Angeles.
Hahn, great to see you.
Mayor
Come
Hahn.
over here, man.
Alcalde Hahn.
Here for a presentation with Councilmember LaBonte.
John Austin. Hey, Jim. Come up here. Lloyd Thaxton, Janice Hahn, get up here. Let's roll that tape right now. Get it going real quick. This is a great part of history.
I'm sure you'll agree that this show is quite a treat. With eye appeal and a fabulous beat. And here's a man named watching me, Lloyd Thaxton. Lloyd Thaxton. When the night and in this corner, Willie King, when the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. Hey, but wait a minute, I'm trapped in here now.
Remember, the name of the show is The Lloyd Thaxton Show, and that's because my name is Lloyd Thaxton.
Thank you very much. I just
Muchas
wanted to say
gracias.
that's a
Solo quería
part of
decir
our
que
great
esto es
history in
parte de
Los
nuestra gran
Angeles. I
historia
have
en Los
one of the
Ángeles.
greatest
Tengo uno de
of
los
all showmen who portrayed the great rock
una
and
de las
roll music of
personas
an era.
más
That little
importantes
sit down there, did you see that, Mr.
en la
President?
etapa de-
Lloyd suggested that you may want to use that so you get all the members here on time, that kind of music, and
Ese tipo de
get
música
only
creo yo
14
que
chairs sit
hará
down.
que-
But
They say,
anyway,
Mr. Labange, you over there.
that's it.
para que
Lloyd Paxton
los
is a
concejales
part of
lleguen
Los
a
Angeles
tiempo.
history, and
Él
I'm
es parte
pleased to
de la
have
historia de
both
Los Ángeles. Mucho
Mayor
gusto
Hahn
tener
and
al
also
alcalde
Janice
Hahn y a
Hahn
Janice
here
Hahn
today,
con nosotros,
and
conmigo aquí el
because
día de hoy,
what
porque
you saw there, which is
lo que
amazing, they
miraron
had
aquí,
rock
este
and roll tape
mismo
shows in
tenía
the
cintas de
afternoon,
rock and
and you
roll
drive
por las
over to La
tardes,
Brea
llegaba uno a La
and
Brea,
Willoughby at
de
KCOP,
Willoughby
and you
en
go on the dance show. I never made
KCOP.
Lloyd's
Yo
show, I
nunca
made
llegué a
Sam
este
Riddle's
show,
show
pero yo
on
fui a Sam Riddle's show en Melrose.
9th Street West, I think was the show, and then when I'd go to San Pedro, I'd
Cuando
always
iba a
see
San
9th
Pedro,
Street
yo
West.
también miraba 9th
It's
Street
interesting
West.
because there is a
Es
9th
lindo
Street West in
porque
San Pedro, as you know, Janice, as councilwoman. But Lloyd Paxton is truly a
Lloyd es
great
de veras
treasure of
un
Los
gran
Angeles.
tesoro de Los
And over the years,
Ángeles
it is
y a
music,
través
it
de
is
los años su
development,
música,
and
su
we wanted to
desarrollo.
bring him together for
de la
a
música.
honor and a
Y para Los
resolution
Ángeles
for
queremos
all
cantar
his
esta
work that he has
convocatoria por
done
el
and
trabajo
his
que ha
success.
hecho y su
And
éxito.
I want to have Lloyd get a
quiero
moment here, but I'd like the mayor and Janice to speak
que
about Lloyd,
el
and then we have
alcalde
a
y
special
Janice hablen
surprise to
también
talk
de
about
él.
the
También
modern
tenemos una
Lloyd, if I could
sorpresa
call that
especial.
too. So,
Habla
Mr.
acerca
Mayor,
de
please.
Thank you. What a
Lo
great honor for
bueno,
me to be
gracias,
standing
que
next
gran
to
honor
Lloyd
estar
Daxon.
sentado al lado de
My
Lloyd
sister and
Jackson,
I
mi
every
hermana y
day
yo todos los
after
días
school would
después de la
watch
escuela
Lloyd
mirábamos
Daxon show so we
el
could
show
learn
de
the
Lloyd
latest
Jackson para
dance moves.
aprender
And if
a
I'd known you were
bailar
going to be here, I
mejor.
would
Si
have brought
sabía
my
que
Lloyd
iba a estar
Daxon
aquí,
Goes
yo hubiera
Surfing with the
traído mi
Challengers album, which
álbum
I
de
pull out
Lloyd
every once in a
Jackson.
while. But whether it was the Righteous Brothers or Benny
Si era
King or
Righteous Brothers o Benny King.
Tina Turner,
O Tina
we got to
Turner.
watch some great
Miramos
acts on your show, and
los
we
grandes
also
actos y grandes
got to feel
prestaciones
like
en
we
su
were
show.
connected to all the other teenagers here in Los Angeles. So, see, your show lasted as long as I was in
Su
high
show
school, until
todo el tiempo que estuve
1968.
en la
But
preparatoria
throughout your
hasta
career, I
68,
think
pero en
you've
toda
been
su
really part of what
carrera ha
makes Los
sido
Angeles
parte
great, a great entertainment industry.
de
And
Los Ángeles,
every once in a
una
while,
gran
I still
industria. De vez en cuando aún
paint that little guy on
yo
my thumb and entertain my
este
kids.
delito,
So, thanks a lot
pinto
for being part of
ese
our great history here in Los
monito en
Angeles.
mi dedo gordo y entreté así.
Thank you. I just too wanted to
Con
congratulate
mis
Lloyd Daxton.
felicitaciones
I
a Lloyd
can't think of
Jackson.
really anyone or any show that I had more impact on me as a teenager.
Ese
Every
show de
single
veras
day. I would
tuvo
come
un gran
home
impacto.
and turn on the
Y
Lloyd
atrás de
Jackson
ella
show.
llegaba a
Every
la
once in a while,
casa
my
y ponía
brother
televisión
would
de Lloyd
indulge me. We would
Jackson. De
dance
vez
in
en
our living
cuando mi
room
hermano y yo bailábamos
to
en la
that show.
sala.
And in fact, our
Mirando ese show
cousin,
y nuestro
Corky,
primo
actually
Corky
appeared on your show,
se presentó en su
but we
show.
had to keep it from my grandparents who didn't
Pero
believe in dancing and felt
nuestros
that was
abuelos no podían
the
saber esto
wrong way to
porque no
go in life.
creían,
But we really want to congratulate you today and say what impact you had. And as my brother said, it was just a great opportunity to feel connected to all the other teenagers. It was a great opportunity to learn new dance moves, and as a young girl, it was an opportunity for me to look and see what all the other teenage girls were wearing, and then see if I could convince my parents to buy me the same outfit. So Lloyd Daxton, you had such a great impression on so many of us growing up in Los Angeles. Thank
Tuvo un gran
you.
impacto en el resto, en todos nosotros.
I too am of that generation. I think there's really relatively few of us on the council who are. But you were our Dick Clark. Everyone knew American Bandstand on the national scene. LA had Lloyd Paxton and the same show right here in our community, and it was great. Janice has talked about watching what the others were wearing, how they did their hair was really important. That's what gave you a clue. But it was good peer models, good fun, good clean activity. We talk a lot today about after school and kids needing something.
Después de la escuela, lo que necesito ni al menos en mi generación, pudimos crecer con buenos ejemplos, buenos programas y buen espíritu que sé que hay un lugar para adolescentes. Los adolescentes pueden divertirse, pueden tener su identidad y pueden crecer así, quizás ser ciudadanos productivos. Dejo esto muy gracias. Era muy divertido mirando esto y su espíritu, su entusiasmo, su gentileza y su buen humor hizo este show lo que era. Muchas gracias.
I got to tell you, I am really overwhelmed by this. I mean, to have the mayor come up and say that he used to watch my show and actually bought one of my albums. Actually, we sold about 10,000 of those albums. If you need one, I have about 9,000 in my garage. So you can. You know, when I did my show, Oh, look at this. He painted his finger. One of the finger people. You got to get a shot of this. The mayor of Los Angeles doing Lloyd Thaxton finger people numbers. That is the greatest. You know, one of the greatest thrills about doing the show was the fact that I did, over the span of the show, I figured out we had 40,000 teenagers that actually danced on the show, and millions more that watched. And every time, just before a show would go on, I would have a little speech for the kids that were on, and I would say that you are going to be role models. Be on your best behavior. You're going to be role models for millions of teenagers all across the country. And you know, when I thought back on it, it was possibly one of the only times that those teenagers really felt important, and maybe it was the last time. But what it did instill something in them, and they were always on their best behavior. All you have to say is, you represent a lot of other people, and they will be on their best behavior. And I've had so many people over the many, many years come up to me and say, you changed my life. I think it was just because they grew up with me, and they watched me every day, and we did good things. Can I get a commercial now?
We're going to flip the side, flip the record, flip the 45.
Okay.
Introduce someone very special, who's a partner, I could say, as a writer. It's John Alston. John, come up, who's got a great Los Angeles history himself. Give John a great hand. You're like this, Mayor. But before I do, I just want to, real quick, Mayor, you'll like this too. I just received a cable from the side. Bill Fujioka, RCAO, was on the dance program there, and that's a good job there, Bill. Yeah, right, you got it. But anyway, John Alston is a true native of Los Angeles from Mount Vernon, Audubon Junior High, and Dorsey High School. He attended Chapman University and California State University Hayward, where he obtained a master's degree in counseling psychology. His father was a 20-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, and his mother was a music teacher with our Los Angeles Unified School District. He's now a very prominent speaker, author, and trainer who has spoken in all but one state in this great United States of America. John Alston dedicates his life to work to helping people who want to improve their lives in companies and organizations and encourage personal achievement and character development. John Alston is very special to us here. He also has a very special wife. And Lord, I forgot to introduce your wife to come up too, so let's get it straight. That's Barbara. Barbara, you come up here, Barbara. But also Karen Alston Mills, the daughter of the great Billy Mills, who is here today with us. But John Alston is here. And together with Lloyd Thaxton, you can see on the top of your desk there is Stuff Happens. And then you can fix it. It's a great book, and I'm going to call, but before I do call on John to speak, give him a big hand for being a great Angelino, homegrown. And to write about it, John Alston. Thank you.
Let me just say one thing before John comes up here. John co-wrote the book with me. Today is John's birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm just proving that there is, you all remember my show, I'm proving by my birthday tomorrow that there is life after 70. So actually there's life after 75. I lied about 5 years there, that's okay. John and I wrote a book called Stuff Happens and You Fix It. We've distributed it to all of the council members here because I think a lot of stuff does happen in the city of Los Angeles, and it's up to you guys to fix it, so it's all here. And now I would like to introduce my co-author and very, very great friend, John Alston. Thank you, Lloyd.
Well, I think Lloyd and I probably represent the best partnership and example of what can happen when people of different groups get together and work together. We represent different ethnicities, backgrounds, age, generations, and it really reflects, I think, what Los Angeles is all about. We're probably the most diverse city in the nation, and this is to prove a point. And one of the things I want to leave you with is this idea, is that no problem is bigger than we are, and we can set and work with Los Angeles to make it an even greater city than what it is. So it's a pleasure, and I want to thank the council members and the mayor, and also my good friend Lloyd, and our team, our wives who are working with us to get the book to where we'd like it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. And Mr. Labange, I know you have one more presentation. Let's take a pause right now, as we do have a quorum. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Burnson, Galano, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Mizikowski, Pacheco, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Wise, Zine, Padilla, 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session, and we do have a number of other presentations, but we do have one urgent required 12 votes today, and we do
Urgente
have
necesita
12 members
12 votos hoy.
present.
Tenemos
Mr.
12
Parks,
miembros presentes, señor
I believe you
Parks.
wanted to dispense with item number 6 today. Let's
Asunto
consider item
6,
number
tenemos
6
que
without
considerar
objection
asunto
at
6
this
sin
time.
protesta ahora.
Yes, we'd like to have item 6
Asunto
as
6.
a special and also see if we
Quiero
can
que
take
sea
it out
otro
of
especial.
order.
Y quiero hablar sobre esto.
Can we have the city staff come up,
Pase el
please?
personal, por favor, de la ciudad.
No, this is the recalling the money.
If we can be brief with this, because we're trying to hold on to 12 members to take a vote.
Estamos
Yes,
tratando
we'd like you to
de
give us
mantener 12
a
miembros.
briefing, and if you could hit the bullet points on the important due dates and go with the
Sobre los
recommendation
puntos
and then the
importantes, hablar
impact
sobre las recomendaciones y
and the
también el
reason for the
impacto, la
timeliness for
razón
today, and then the
cuál tiene
impact
que
if we do not act today.
tenemos que
Thank you, Liza
tomar
Lowry,
acción.
ITA.
Gracias.
As you have in
Liza
front of you in the
Lowry,
reports,
ITA.
in 2002, Adelphia
2002,
submitted forms to the city
presentó
stating the basis
formularios a la
for an
ciudad
increase in
mencionando la
basic
base
service
por
cable rates. Upon
aumentar las
receiving these
tasas,
reports,
los
ITA
costos
began
de
an
servicio.
analysis to determine
El
whether
ITA inició
Adelphia could
un
justify
análisis
these
para
proposed rate
determinar
increases.
si
As you
había
know, in
justificación
June
para este aumento de
2002,
costos. En junio
Adelphia filed
2002,
for
Adelphia
Chapter 11 bankruptcy,
presentó
and
solicitud
later
para
that year and
bancarrota.
early
Después de
this
este
year,
año y
some
principios
of
de
their
este año,
executives
sus
pled guilty to
ejecutivos se
conspiracy to
declararon
commit securities wire and bank
culpables
fraud.
por
Due to
diferentes
these
delitos
admissions and
por estas
occurrences,
omisiones.
ITA requested that Adelphia
pidió que
certify the
Adelphia
accuracy
certificara
and reliability of the financial data that supports their
exactitud
2002
de la
FCC rate
información
change
económica
forms. In
incluida en los
March,
formularios
Adelphia
para
informed ITA that they were
aumentar el
unable to
costo.
certify their financial
En
information.
mayo, Adelphia,
The deadline in Area C for
porque
rate
aseguró que no
increase
podía
review was 1
justificar
year,
este
which would have
aumento
expired on March 29th,
de costo
2003. Because
por
of
servicio de
information we were
cable.
receiving and Adelphia's
Nosotros
inability
recibimos
to
la inhabilidad
certify
de
the,
Adelphia para
the accuracy of
certificar
the financial
la exactitud
statements,
de sus
Adelphia and ITA
documentos
received additional time from
financieros.
the FCC.
Adelphia y el
That
ITA recibió
time
más tiempo de parte de la
expires on
FCC.
June
Este
1st,
momento se
2003.
vence el 1
That's
de junio de
Sunday.
2013. Esto es el domingo.
And so
Por lo tanto,
what is before you
lo que tienen
is a
ahorita
rate order
pendiente
that
es una
applies to
orden de
Area C. The time for the city to act expires on that rate order Sunday, June 1st, 2003. For the other Adelphia areas under consideration, the time to review that expires on June 2nd, 2003, Monday. This rate order has been in front of the Board of Information Technology Commissioners and was approved in early May and was heard by ITGS earlier this week. This action affects 235,000 subscriber households. It could result in rebates in excess of $4 million to those subscriber households. The average savings is in the neighborhood of $1.50 to $2.25 a month in rate increases going forward. Again, I would stress, as Councilmember Parks asked, that the city needs to take action today or we lose the opportunity to approve and implement this ordinance. It is in effect a rate order requiring a rollback of rates and a refund of the rates that were implemented prior to the city's findings.
aumentar el costo mensual por ese servicio de cable. Fiscal, ¿tiene usted algún comentario?
Basically, colleagues, this is an issue in which I think clearly has been identified in the press as an important issue. We're talking about 236,000 residents that, in our opinion, had a rate increase of their basic rate for cable that was not justified. They did not, the company did not bring forward material that they can currently certify as being appropriate and substantial to have this rate. We also know that we are going through some extensions for other cable companies and renewals in the future. This has nothing to do with those two processes. It's merely correcting what we believe is an error and something inappropriate that was done a year ago. We also have to realize that in dealing with this issue, as we go forward, there is currently a rate increase on the additional services that is going forward by the same company. But again, we only control the basic rate of cable.
el costo básico de servicios de cable. Todo importante hacer esta decisión. Necesitamos 12 votos para proceder. Si no, este aumento se mantendrá en su lugar porque se terminará el año, la fecha límite. Por lo tanto, pido voto unánime por ese asunto. Gracias, señor Weiss. Gracias, señor Parks. Por inmediatamente tomar estos asuntos tan complicados tocante de cable, especialmente este que tiene que ver con Adelphia y proveer el tipo de liderazgo que la ciudad ha necesitado desde que el señor Petula se ha ido. Señor Petula, ¿puede decirnos brevemente para estar claro el significado de recibir un voto unánime aquí el día de hoy?
Well, because the one-year time frame is up, as
límite de un año se
Ms. Lowry was saying, on the 1st of June, which is Sunday, under FCC rules, we are no longer able to act after Sunday. So if it is not approved by a unanimous vote of at least 12 members today, we lose the ability to question the rate increase that Adelphia imposed last March and July of 2002.
Mr. Petula, colleagues, it's extremely important that this be a unanimous vote. Here's what this is about in a nutshell. Adelphia was run and plundered by people who are now under federal criminal indictment. And you've all heard of what they did. And not only did they defraud Adelphia's shareholders, ratepayers, customers, but municipalities such as us are also among the victims. Because the Regas Adelphia, the old Adelphia, submitted financial statements to the city of Los Angeles to justify certain rate increases. Well, the Regas then got indicted and hauled off to federal prison. And those financial statements were sitting around. A new management came in under Chapter 11, but they're afraid to sign these financial statements. They don't want to get anywhere near these financial statements because they're Regas financial statements. And so they're sitting there and they stink. Frankly, they stink. They were financial statements used to justify the rate increases to gouge our constituents. Mr. President, we can have it right down here. And so let's send a strong message to Adelphia. We had a representative from Adelphia in here the other day saying he represents the new Adelphia. And I take him at his word. It's only worth it's worth nothing. He didn't even put it on paper. He just said it in committee. If this is a new Adelphia, show us that you're new by rolling back these unfounded rate increases. Otherwise, the new Adelphia is just going to continue to profit from the old Adelphia, the old fraud-oriented Adelphia. And it's very, very important that we send a very strong message today. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you again, Mr. Parks. Mr. President, can I do an introduction though in the middle of this?
You got 11 seconds left.
Let me take those 11 seconds just to shift gears and ask my friends from the Westwood Charter School to stand up. We have the third grade with 100 third graders here today. Ms. Cass, Ms. Lee, Ms. Carsey, Ms. Isaac, Mr. O'Donnell, and Ms. Goffin's class, 100 third graders from Westwood Charter School. Welcome to City Hall. You're seeing democracy in action today, and hopefully when you go home and see yourself tonight on cable TV, your parents will have something to cheer about as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. Regarding this matter, I was in committee and I'm on that committee with Councilman Parks. And this has been a long process to get to this point. It's been agonizing for the people of Los Angeles.
Sufrimiento para la ciudad de Los Ángeles de tratar con ese problema, tienen que tratar con los servicios inferiores, la falta de construcción nacional, la administración responsable y este gran escándalo, más de estos $3.8 millones que Adelphia le debe a la ciudad de Los Ángeles, $3.8 millones. Y hubo un desacuerdo, ese acuerdo fue resuelto para bancarrota por $3 millones, no está recibiendo interés. Además, las personas están recibiendo servicios por el cual están pagando y luego aumentan el costo.
And the city of
de
Los
ese
Angeles,
servicio
the
y la ciudad de
taxpayers
Los
are owed
Ángeles que pagan
$3.8 million
impuestos
at this
se les
time.
debe
So I believe it's
3.8 millones de
appropriate.
dólares.
And in
Por
due
tanto,
respect
creo
to
que
the
es
new
adecuado y
operation,
con
Adelphia
respeto a
had
la
an
nueva
operation that was in
administración,
place,
Adelphia tiene
and
una
it wasn't
administración
run
previamente
properly,
y
as
no era
evidenced
administrado
by
adecuadamente
the
como
indictments
comprobado
on the federal level.
la información de
People
los
of our
cargos a nivel
community, in my
federal por personas
community,
de nuestra comunidad y en
the
mi
Southwest San Fernando
comunidad,
Valley,
el Valle de San Fernando
because of the
Sureste,
monopoly
por
that takes
una
place in the cable operations, they don't have a choice. They have to have Adelphia or they don't have any cable operations. We don't have a real competitive process
no hay
cable in the
muchas
city of Los
opciones en la
Angeles
ciudad de Los
because they're
Ángeles
franchises for specific
porque
districts.
defienden
And sadly for the people in my
diferentes
district,
distritos y para
in
personas
the
en
adjoining
mi distrito
districts,
y en los distritos
the number of
cerca de
complaints I
estos,
receive
la cantidad de
because
quejas que
of lack
recibí
of
por
service,
falta
poor
de
service,
servicios,
poor quality, etc.,
baja
outpaces
calidad
all
de
the others
servicio,
combined.
muchos
So
otros
what I would
asuntos.
ask has been already stated
Y
by
todas
my
esas quejas, lo que
colleagues,
pido yo
is that this be
es que esto
unanimous
sea un
vote.
voto
We send a
unánime
message
para así
to
enviar un
Adelphia.
mensaje a
We
Adelphia,
send a message to the
enviar un
consumers
mensaje
that
a
we
la gente a la que les
they're paying for a
entendemos
service
y
they're not
que están
receiving, that this
pagando un
rollback
servicio que
should
no están
take
recibiendo
place.
de que
I think this also sends a message to the other operators of Los
bajar el
Angeles
costo
and
de
the
eso
cable
también se
operations
llevará a cabo y
that we're very
reembolsarles.
serious about protecting the
Quiero decirles que
consumers. And I want to commend our
enviar
IT
este
and also the
mensaje
city
de
attorney's office
que
for the
tomamos
diligence
este
in
asunto
this and
seriamente.
sticking with this to this
Gracias a
point.
todos
And if we
ustedes
don't
por
act
llegar hasta
today,
este punto y si
then
no
just
hacemos
like the
algo el día de hoy,
bankruptcy,
tal
we
como
lose
la
$3.8
bancarrota,
million
perderemos
because of a
3.8 mil dólares
technicality in
por
the
una
bankruptcy. If we don't act today in
punto
an
técnico y
unanimous
si no
vote, this
votamos
rollback
el día
won't
de
take
hoy
place,
un voto
and our
unánime,
consumers will
entonces
continue to
esto
pay this high premium, which is
no
not
se llevará a
appropriate for
cabo
them
y
to
ni
pay.
los
So
clientes
it's
pagarán
necessity that we take
un
action today and
costo
vote
adicional. Por tanto,
unanimous
es
to
muy, muy
support this
importante
and give our city
tomar
attorney
esta acción el
tools
día
to
de
do
hoy,
his
darle
job
a la
and
Fiscalía
do
la
the
herramienta
tools to
para hacer
protect
su
the people
trabajo
who
y
have
así
suffered
proteger a las
the
personas
poor
quienes han
service and the
sufrido por
problems
el
associated
servicio
with
pobre y los
Adelphia.
problemas
Thank you,
asociados con
Mr.
Adelphia.
Zion.
Muchas gracias, señora Groh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to stand in support of my colleagues, and particularly you, Mr. Parks, who have jumped in as chair of this committee to bring this forward into the ITA department. I have a huge part of representation by Adelphia in my community, Sherman Oaks and Studio City. I was just reading again the news article on a lot of the East Valley that I share with my council colleague, Alex Padilla. And the importance of, I mean, I hope too that there is a new Adelphia that's responding to a lot of the issues that were brought up throughout this, I guess, investigations and public response to some of the problems that we had. And I just wanted to stand in support of your action today, Mr. Parks, for Adelphia, so that we can bring Adelphia back to where we'd like to have it, where it was probably at one time to serve our constituents. Again, my district is more greatly impacted than most with the services delivered by Adelphia. So just wanted to briefly stand up and thank you for your leadership on this today. And also I know Mr. Weiss and Mr. Zine have similarly been outspoken on the issue today. Thank you.
Okay, other members wishing to be heard on this item? Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, if Adelphia owes us
Si Adelphia nos
$3+
debe
million,
3.pico millones de
with
dólares
this
y
refund,
con este reembolso,
the question is being
la
suggested
pregunta entonces
that they
es,
have in the general fund, already we have received
ya hemos recibido $270,000
and whereas they will be refunding to the ratepayers
y ellos reembolsarán a la comunidad.
the city will have to also refund them
También la ciudad les tendrá que
$27,000.
reembolsar $27,000. Esta es mi
Yes,
pregunta.
sir.
Sí.
The city has
La
collected
ciudad
franchise fees over the last 9 months and 12 months after the rate increase. Our
9 meses
financial
después del aumento,
analysts
y los
estimates
analistas
that
económicos
if the rollback occurs in
dicen
the
que
rebates, the
si
city would
bajan el
have to
costo y
refund
los reembolsos,
approximately
es decir, la
$270,000
ciudad
to
tendrá que
Adelphia.
regresar
That would
$70,000
most
a
likely just be
Adelphia y esto
taken off the
quizás
top
será
of one of their future franchise fee payments.
So the total amount of money they're giving back will be either
excluido todos los
$180,000,
pagos de Adelphia. Entonces
$150,000,
se
we were
le
giving back
reembolsará
$270,000. It's almost like a wash.
$270,000. Es como
No, sir, the
algo igual, no.
rebate to
El
the
reembolso
consumers
para
could be
la
as much as
comunidad puede ser
$4.3
hasta
million
$4.3 millones de
to the
dólares
consumers.
para
What we're saying is,
comunidad. Lo que
on
estamos
that
diciendo es
money that
que
was collected,
este dinero
we
que fue
believe in
colectado,
appropriately
creemos
from the ratepayers, we
que de
collected
parte de los que
franchise fees
pagaron
5%, just as a matter of the ongoing formula. If that
la que
rebates to
pagó
consumers in the
los
city
clientes,
would have to refund to Adelphia approximately $270,000. So we're really be looking at $270,000 in comparison to $4 million to the consumers.
Ellos 70 en vez de 4 millones a la comunidad con este asunto, pero fue presentado al Consejo Municipal. Leímos un artículo en el periódico sobre esto y creo que les pedí que ustedes, en ese entonces, que llegaran a la mesa y les pedí entonces que tomemos pasos legales antes de que Adelphia presentara nuestro instituto de bancarrota. Y entonces le dije yo, eso es lo que haría Adelphia y debemos ser primero señor Fiscal y la oficina de la Fiscalía. Y ustedes dijeron que íbamos a trabajar en esto y esto quizás no ocurrirá y no es una gran catástrofe, pero resulta que fue peor de lo que anticipábamos. Y estas personas hasta terminaron en la cárcel. Quiero decirles que les advertimos esto cuando miramos este tipo de mensaje que se envió solamente a la comunidad, pero también al grupo legislativo. Era nuestra prioridad tomar la acción adecuada en ese entonces. Y cuando se presentó la pregunta, nos dijeron ustedes, lo resolveremos, tenemos que mirar las consecuencias legales antes de creer. Bueno, sabemos lo que ocurrió con esto. Ahora la ciudad ha perdido mucho dinero y están tratando con un proveedor de muy mala calidad. Obviamente, esa miembros de la Junta Directiva no nos darán la información verdadera la cual ellos podrán atestar. Esto empeorará. ¿Alguien más dice esa presentación? Si no, creo yo que estamos listos para un voto. Señor Parks. Muchas gracias. Solo quiero reiterar una de las cosas que debemos asegurar y que no quiero disminuir el esfuerzo de la Fiscalía. Solamente es se bajará el costo. No queremos hablar acerca de los asuntos de bancarrota, extensiones y renovaciones, porque esto es algo que complica sus esfuerzos para desempeñar su responsabilidad. Pero de nuevo, el asunto principal, entre 4 y 5 millones de dólares, será se reembolsará y $270,000 vamos a reembolsar a la comunidad. Esta compañía aumentó el costo del servicio básico y no lo pudieron justificar entonces ni tampoco ahora. Y esos son los elementos básicos. Por lo tanto, la acción que tomaremos el día de hoy removerá y regresará este dinero de nuevo a los comunidades. Ellos aún como pueden apelar esto al gobierno federal, pero esta es su opción en comparación a nuestro esfuerzo para satisfacer y hacer que nuestra comunidad reciba lo justo. Por tanto, pido un voto unánime sobre ese asunto para así proceder. Gracias. ¿Alguien más dice presentación? Nadie más. Actor, abre ese voto. Cierra ese voto y tabule ese conteo. 13 sí. Esto ha sido aprobado. Procedamos, por favor. Gracias. Gracias por su paciencia. Esto era un asunto con mucha importancia y aún tenemos varias presentaciones que se van a cabo ya. Primero quiero continuar con asuntos de decisión completo.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Gruhl seconds.
Before beginning the regular agenda, there's been a request to continue item 30 to June 17th.
Members request to continue item 30 to June
30 que se ha aplazado al 17 de junio. ¿Protesta?
Seeing no objection,
Sin
item 30
protesta,
is
asunto
continued.
30 será aplazado.
Next item.
There's also been a
También
request
había
to
una petición
continue
de
the closed session item
aplazar
34 to June
el asunto
11th.
que se llevará a cabo por puerta cerrada hasta que es asunto 34 hasta el 11 de junio. Sin protesta, señora Mizekowski.
Request number
Quiero
18
pedir
be continued for
que el número
60
18
days.
sea
That's an
aplazado
item
por
in
60
the
días. Un asunto
11th Council District.
del Consejo Municipal número 11, asunto 18, petición para aplazar esto por 60 días hasta el 29 de julio, también sin protesta. Señora Groh.
I was going to call item number 4 special,
Asunto
please.
4 quiero usar como especial. Todavía no hemos llegado al actuario.
Item 1 is an item
Asunto
notice of
asunto
public
aviso
hearing.
para
Council
audiencia
should
pública.
close the hearing
Consejo
and
debe
instruct the
cerrar
city
la
engineer to
audiencia
proceed with
e
vacation.
instruirle a la ingeniería municipal.
Address the council on this item.
Ya que no hay prestación del público en este asunto, la audiencia pública realmente ha sido abierta y ya será cerrada. Tenemos una recomendación ahora pendiente. ¿Algún miembro desea que trate este asunto como especial? Asunto 1. Ni no. Actuario, abra ese voto. Cierre ese voto y tabule ese conteo. 13 sí. Ha sido aprobado. Procedemos. Asunto 2 también es un asunto aviso para audiencia pública. Consejo cerrar la
Did you receive a
reunión y
call special, Ms. Perry?
confirmar
Number 2, call special by Ms. Perry. Let me
recomendada
also
por
recognize that we have not received
el
speaker cards on this
departamento.
item. Public hearing, which had previously been open, is now closed. And call special. Next item, please.
Para beneficios.
3,
Asunto
4,
3,
and 8 are
4 y
items for
8
which
son
public hearings
asuntos
have been held. A
que se
motion
llevan
is
a cabo
required on
una
item number 8,
moción
inasmuch
para
as there are
asunto
2 reports on
número
file and the
8,
recommendations do
ya que hay
differ.
dos reportes
There's
en los
3, 4, and
archivos
8 now
y
before us.
las
Item 4,
recomendaciones
call special by
diferentes.
Ms.
Asunto
Gruhl.
4, actualización especial por la señora
Resolutions to call
Grohl,
items
miembros
3 or 8
actualizados. Asunto
special.
3 u 8
Call
especial.
special by Mr.
8,
Zine.
actualización especial por el
We need a
señor
motion on
Sainz.
that.
Tenemos una moción.
Item 3 is before us.
Asunto 3 ahora está pendiente. 3, 5,
3, 4, and
3,
8.
4 y 8.
8. Items 4 and 8 have been called
4 y 8
special.
actualizados
Item 3
especial.
is before us
3
at
ahora
this
está
time.
pendiente. 3 y
3
5.
called special by
3
Mr.
actualizados especial
Holden.
por el señor Holden.
And 5.
5 will be called special by Mr. Holden.
Y
Item
5,
4 has been
4,
called special.
asunto
Item 6 has
especial,
been acted
6
upon.
ya
Item 7 is
se
next.
dejó, ahora sigue el número
A motion is
7.
required on item
La
number
moción
7.
para el asunto número 7.
Is there a motion from
¿Hay
the floor
moción
on item number 7?
para asunto número 7?
Seeing no motion,
Ni
let's call
uno.
that matter
Este
special.
asunto será actualizado como especial.
Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Actuario, procedamos.
Items 9 through
Asunto
33 are
número
items for
33
which
son
public hearings have
asuntos
not been
que no han
held.
tenido audiencias
do not have
públicas. No tengo
requests
tarjeta de
from
pago
members of the
público
public to
para
address
hacer
the council on these
presentación sobre
items.
estos asuntos. Por lo
Public hearings
tanto,
are
la audiencia
therefore open
pública
and
se abren y se cierran.
Members wishing to call
Miembros
any
desean actualizar algunos
specials,
como
items 9
especial.
through
Asunto
33.
9 a 33, señor Reyes.
Item 33,
Asunto
please.
33, por favor.
33
Asunto 33,
called
que
special by
especial
Mr.
por el señor Reyes.
Mr. Holden.
Señor Holden.
Item 12
Asunto 12,
called special by Mr. Holden.
por el señor Holden.
Any other specials?
¿Algún
Ms. Hall.
otro especial, señora Han? Quiero aplazar 32 hasta
Okay, request members to continue
sesión
item
para
32
aplazar
to
asunto
next
32
Wednesday.
hasta el
Is
siguiente
there an objection?
miércoles. Hay
Item
una
32,
protesta sobre el
seeing
asunto
none.
32, ni no.
Item 32 is
Asunto
continued.
32
Mr.
será
Reyes.
aplazado, señor
Item
Reyes.
27
Asunto
for
27
Councilmember Wise, please.
para
Okay,
el
item
concejal
27
Weiss.
called
Asunto
special for
27
Mr. Weiss.
para
Any
el concejal
other
Weiss.
specials?
¿Algún otro?
Seeing none on
Ni
the
no.
balance of the
En el resto de
items,
los
Mr. Clerk, please
asuntos,
open the roll.
señor secretario municipal,
Please
abre ese
close the
voto,
roll
cierre ese voto
and
y
tabulate
establece
the vote.
conteo. 13 sí.
Those are
Esos han
approved.
sido aprobados.
Next items, please.
Procedamos.
That would take us back to the items called special.
Ahora tendremos los asuntos que
Before
especial
taking up
antes de hablar sobre
items
estos
called special,
asuntos.
let's return
Ahora
to
regresaremos
the
a
presentations,
las presentaciones
segment of today's agenda.
de la agenda del día de
We
hoy.
have next
Tenemos
Mr.
ahora
Reyes
después
for
señor Reyes para
presentation.
una presentación.
Yes, I'd like to call on Ms. Kim. Come on up, please. Members of the council, it always gives me great pleasure to recognize the work of our own city employees. A lot of Angelinos, unfortunately, only read about the ones that are not so good. But if good news sold papers, believe me, today's presentation will be on the front page. Members, today, Sylvia C. Kim is being honored for her 32 years of service to the city of Los Angeles. Her story and her dedication to serve the people of the city came about because of the persecution and suffering she endured as a political refugee from North Korea. Sylvia originally joined the city family on October 26, 1970, as an accountant in the mayor's office with the Office of Urban Development, where she worked on new and innovative federally funded youth and adult job training programs. Over the years, she received the promotion to senior accountant with the Manpower program, where she took charge of developing and managing all financial systems for the city's Manpower Area Planning Council and Mayor Bradley's newly formed Training and Job Development Department. In August 1977, she transferred to the Community Development Department, where she eventually became a grants management specialist and eventually a management specialist. During her decades of service with the Community Development Department, Sylvia played key leadership roles in funding, monitoring, and evaluating complex federal and state nonprofit organizations. As a Central City Enterprise Zone Manager, she provided business benefits to various industrial and commercial enterprises in the Central City, thus creating jobs for many of the city's neediest residents. As a loan analyst, Sylvia Kim also worked on many economic development projects that has helped to revitalize neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles. For example, these projects include the cornfields that will become a state park in Council District 1, the Kodak Theater at Hollywood Boulevard at Highland Avenue in CD 13, the Old Bank District in Council District 9, the Watts Civic Center in District 15, Angeles Grand Plaza and Colorado Terrace in Council District 14. Members, Sylvia Kim has given us more than 3 decades of her life, and I can share with you that the city of Los Angeles is better for it. So, be it resolved, therefore, that by the adoption of this resolution, that the City Council of the City of Los Angeles, on behalf of its citizens, hereby congratulates Sylvia C. Kim on her retirement after 32 years of dedicated service and outstanding contributions, and extends best wishes for her and her family for a happy and healthy retirement. I might add that Ms. Kim and her husband are involved with the Young Nac Church. It's a tremendous church in our district, one of the largest Korean congregations out of Korea in Southern California that has ever been assembled. He also, I understand, is a retired Department of Water and Power employee. So I want to thank them. Their family has been tremendous for our city. And again, it's a pleasure to acknowledge your great effort, your great work, and our dedication. Would you like to share a few words? Yes.
All I want to say is thank you so much that I have grown in city and I got old in city, but I hope graciously. Thank you very much for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Chair recognizes Ms. Gruhl for our next presentation. And Mr. President, I intercepted the great Councilmember Gruhl and asked that you call on Jan Perry, the great Councilwoman of the 9th, so the great Task Force 3 could get back on their engines after they come here for this special program. Go ahead. Is that all right? Of course. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We'll just do hope. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. See that, Tom?
Then I owe you 3.
Okay, that's okay. All right. I'd like to ask the Hope for Firefighters group to come up to the podium.
No, Chief Fulmus is going to speak on behalf of the Chief Engineer.
Great, okay. You want to speak too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm joined here with representatives from the Los Angeles Fire Department, and I'm so excited to announce and remind everyone that we have an upcoming event Thursday, June 5th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will take place in downtown Los Angeles on Hope Street between 3rd and Hope Place. It's called the Hope for Firefighters event, which helps to raise funds for the Widows and Orphans Fund. This is a great family fun. Last year's event, on top of being an enormous success, was a great community gathering, a street festival with lots of great food, music, and fun games. It's a wonderful way for us to come together as a city and express our appreciation for the brave firefighters, the men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department, show our pride, and to raise some money for an excellent cause. I'm proud to say that this is one of the largest firefighter events in our country, and I feel very fortunate to have this event take place in the 9th Council District on an annual basis. I encourage everyone throughout the city to come and enjoy this. There will be great food, entertainment, and games as part of the celebration and fundraiser. What's most fun is to watch the firefighters cooking and being able to sample some of their cuisine and watch as local businesses compete in firefighter muster games like the Bucket Brigade and the Firefighter Suit-Up Competition, and of course, a favorite of many, the old-fashioned hose pull contest. If you missed it last year, you won't want to miss it again. And this celebration will be even more exciting and more fun than last year. I know we have a tape that we're going to cue, but we'll do that after the speakers.
Jen, I just want to great camaraderie, dealing with the public like we do every day, but it's always on a sad note because when you dial 911, it's something overwhelms somebody that they need our help, but now they get to see that firemen are regular people too.
These corporate teams are loading 100 feet of 2.5-inch firefighting hose in these hose carts. They're going to start down here and attach a nozzle onto the end. They're going to continue on down the course of the hydrant, connect the other end of the hydrant. Hopefully by the time they get water coming out of the hydrant, the nozzle will be attached, and they got to shoot, knock a cone down. And the best time so far is 19 seconds, which is incredibly fast.
So it's a muster show that the firemen did in the old days. It was all buckets, and the muster includes a competition between other fire stations. It is getting a bucket of water from point A to point B and simulating putting it on a fire. This point, it's to fill up a trash can, and there's a hole on the far side of the trash can that drops a little ball out that stops the time.
While everyone had fun at this year's event, Hope for Firefighters founder Paul Linton wants to make sure we don't forget why it was held, to honor the courage of our firefighters.
9/11 is a great example of that, where they get up one morning, put on their equipment, and they go respond to help us, the public, and they just don't come home. And this is our way of saying thank you and showing our appreciation for that kind of a sacrifice.
I just joined with our great colleague Jan Perry on this day because when I worked at Water and Power, I always told the fire department, without water, they can't do their job. So I was pleased to be in that aspect of, and now in this evolution with this great day with the community and Paul and all the people here. But please welcome Chief Fulmus, who is the Division Commander, Los Angeles City Fire Department, Division 1, representing Chief William Bamatri.
Good morning. Thank you very much. On behalf of Chief Bamatri and the Fire Department, I'd like to thank everybody, and especially thank the Bunker Hill High Rise Home Association for sponsoring this event. This is just an excellent, excellent opportunity, not only for you to come out and meet your firefighters, but also raise some funds for the Widows and Orphans Fund for our Firefighters Relief Association, and really get an opportunity. One of the biggest secrets here in the whole city is some of the best food that's cooked is cooked by firefighters, and you're going to get an opportunity to taste some of that food. So I encourage you all to come on down, just have a great time. There's food, music, prizes. Please come on down and join. Thank you.
Paul Litton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We want to invite all of you from the City Council of the City of Los Angeles to this event. It's our way of showing our appreciation for these firefighters. There's very few of us that, as I said many times, very few of us get up in the morning, go to work with an expectation that we might not come back. So this is one way that we can show our appreciation for these firefighters, for their bravery, and we would welcome all of you. These fire stations that come and cook on Hope Street are from every district in the city of Los Angeles. These fire stations would very much appreciate seeing their council represented there, and we very much appreciate the Jan Perry and Tom LaBonge's support over the years. Tom's been with us since the very first one in 1998 when we started this event after losing 4 of our firefighters here in Los Angeles. So please join us if you can.
On Thursday, June 5th, 2003, be on Hope Street in downtown Los Angeles, Hope for Firefighters Day. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. LaBonge and Ms. Perry. Next, we'd like to recognize Councilwoman Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Tom Labange said he needed to go first because the firefighters could go back to work, and that the students from North Hollywood High School would learn from this presentation. So I think he was right. I'm so pleased. And if I could ask the students and representatives from North Hollywood High to come up here behind me, if you would. It's my honor today to acknowledge the North Hollywood Science Bowl team. For the 6th year in a row, North Hollywood High School, under the supervision of Coach Len Soloff, has won the regional competition, competing against 42 other schools and qualifying for the national conference competition held in Washington, D.C. These students spend months preparing and becoming experts in the areas of science, including chemistry, biology, physics, and mathematics. And I've seen some of the questions which I would have a very hard time answering, so I'm extraordinarily impressed at your knowledge. These outstanding young men and women, our future scientists, have made Council District 2 and all of Los Angeles very proud. For this and many more reasons, I am pleased to present certificates to the young people who participated. And I will name them in a few minutes and give them their proclamations. But I want you to know that your dedication and hard work has made us all very, very proud. And I'd like to wish you luck in your future endeavors and to encourage you to keep that passion about science alive. I would like to have a moment, if I could, to introduce each of the students and present their proclamations. The first is George Ed Marty. Let's give a big hand for George. Thank you very much. Stephen Yao. Oops, sorry. Thank you, Stephen. Ali Yen. Thanks, Ali. Nick Zhang. Thank you, Nick. Congratulations. And Zara Yazdanai. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Thank you, nice to meet you. I'd like to briefly also introduce their coach, Ken Soloff, to say a few words. Ken? Len, I'm sorry, Len.
I'd like to thank the council for honoring us. I'd like to thank the students for allowing me to be up here today. You have no idea how hard they work and how much time we put in or they put in. I just have to hang around, and I just want you to know how proud of them, and I want to thank you again for honoring us.
Thank you, Len. Appreciate it. Now, I also want to bring up that I call it the team behind the team. At the national level, the U.S. Department of Energy makes this all possible. But as the kids can tell you, it's a long way from North Hollywood to Washington, D.C. And because of that, we have at a regional level our own DWP that makes it all possible. The team I'm about to bring up is composed of volunteers and individuals and representatives from the DWP family. They work hard to plan and outreach and coordinate all of the necessary forums and competitions that make it happen. I'd like to thank the DWP volunteers that make this happen so that many of our young men and women can continue to be interested and value the world of science. I'd like to bring up Walter Zeisel from DWP, if he could say a few words.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruhl and members of the City Council. It's indeed a pleasure for the Department of Water and Power to again, for the 11th year, but the 10th at our main building, sponsor the Science Bowl. We received an award from the U.S. Department of Energy for 10 consecutive years that we've hosted the Science Bowl. But this activity, which involves locally 42 teams and over 200 of the city's best and brightest students, is really made possible by our core team of volunteers. We have a 12-member steering committee. Almost every one of the steering committee stands behind me. They're the ones that really make this effort possible and allow the North Hollywood team as the winner to go to Washington, D.C. We also have a number of sponsors that have provided some funding to assist with this, but it's really the volunteers that make this effort go. It's been a joy for us to see these tremendous, talented students representing the best and brightest of the city, and it's an activity that we've all enjoyed participating in, and we really appreciate the City Council's support and the support from our management to show the cities and the departments interest in science and education among our young people. So thank you very much for this recognition. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your effort, Councilmember Gruhl, for honoring us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. And I do just want to mention some of the people who I have proclamations for. Walter Zeisel, Heidi Huraka, George Raphael, George Duddles. There's lots of them here. Gloria Anachir. You're all testing me. How's that? Ana Carco. Art Castro, Gary Bishop, Estela Bueno, Melinda Rowe, Eddie Aranda, and Kim Hughes, Jeannie Denistron, and Stephanie Bao. Let's give them all a big hand, and congratulations also to North Hollywood High. Thank you, Mr. President, appreciate that, and we'll go back and take pictures in the back. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl.
Muchas gracias, señora Gruhl. Felicitaciones de nuevo a todos ustedes. Y ahora me gustaría reconocer después al concejal Pacheco para una presentación.
Mr. President,
Señor
colleagues,
presidente, colegas.
one of our biggest issues that we've all been working on in different facets is the homeless issue in the city of Los Angeles. And one of my constituents is a member of the LASA Emergency Response Team. And so we wanted to recognize David Garcia for all his contributions. David is a Boyle Heights native and Eagle Rock resident now. And he's worked as an alcohol and drug counselor with at-risk youth and street gang members through the recommendation of his pastor and his church. David went to work with LASA, specifically the emergency response team. He's the senior team member. He's a community liaison with LASA. He works with community groups throughout the city to help citizens understand the needs of their homeless neighbors. He organizes efforts that target neighborhood improvements, community safety, and provide assistance to the homeless. David has 3 daughters and 2 grandchildren. He also pursues education in the field of psychology and established a faith-based community organization that works with homeless persons. So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and my district, I want to present David Garcia and the LASA Emergency Response Team a certificate of commendation. Thank you, David, for doing your work in the community and for the entire LASA team. Ron, you want to do a picture?
Gracias.
Wow. First off, I just want to say
Primero,
thank
me
you
gustaría dar
to
las
Councilman
gracias al
Pacheco
concejal Pacheco
for awarding me with this
por
award and
otorgarme
my
este
team as well.
reconocimiento y
It's
también
been a real
a
privilege and an
a mi
honor
equipo. Ha sido un
and a
gran
privilege working with
honor, un gran privilegio
your
poder
staff
trabajar con su
in helping our
personal,
helping the homeless in the 14th
ayudar a
district.
las personas sin hogar.
I really want to say thank you to
también me gustaría dar
the
las
team that I
gracias
work with,
al equipo
because
con
without them I wouldn't be here
quien
today.
trabaja, que sin ellos no
I
estaría
believe
aquí.
it takes
Creo yo
teamwork
que
to be effective and stay on the cutting edge out in the field. So this doesn't only belong to me, but it belongs to all of us as a team. So this one's going back to LASA. Thank you
la
very much.
comunidad y para tener una buena organización. Esto no solamente es para
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues.
todo mi grupo, para el
Thank
grupo
you, Mr.
LASA.
Pacheco, and
Gracias
thank you to all the LASA team for your great, hard,
a todo el
dedicated work.
equipo LASA por su
Next, I'd like to recognize
trabajo.
Councilmember Perry for another presentation.
Concejala Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Muchas
President.
gracias, señor presidente.
Gathering behind me are
Junto a mí
very active
son
community folks and
personas de la
seniors
comunidad
from
muy
the Estelle
activos,
Van
personas de la
Meter
tercera
Center,
edad.
located in the 9th Council District,
El
as
centro
well
comunitario
as
ubicado en el
representatives
distrito 9,
from
también
Hawthorne
representantes
Savings.
de
I'd
Hawthorne
like to ask the
Savings.
Hawthorne Savings folks to
Quiero
come on
pedir a
up here.
personas del Banco
And
de
then,
Hawthorne Savings que
Joe
pasen.
Turner,
También
our board
Joe,
president,
nuestro presidente de la Junta
to
de
my left.
Directivas, aquí a mi
This is
izquierda es
a great occasion. And this is an
gran
example
momento, es un gran
of how
ejemplo
good things can happen
de
when
qué
public
buenas
and
cosas
private
pueden ocurrir
entities
cuando
join
entidades
together
públicas y
for a
particulares se
common
unen
good.
para un
Today I'd like to share with you a
para
really
el
great
bienestar.
story about
Hoy me
relationships and the
gustaría compartir
positive
una linda
outcome.
historia acerca
I
de
have with me
relaciones
today
y
Simone
resultados positivos. Tengo
Lagomarsino,
conmigo
President and
Simón Lago
CEO
Marcino,
of
presidente
Hawthorne
y
Savings, Rosemary
jefe principal
Hernandez,
de
Senior
Hawthorne
Vice
Savings,
President
Rosemary
of Hawthorne
Fernández,
Savings, and Latrice
vicepresidente, y Latrice
Wilkinson, who is Head of Community Relations for Hawthorne
jefe
Savings,
de relaciones de la
and
comunidad para Hawthorne
also
Savings,
all
y
of our friends
también
here from the
para
Estelle
todos
Van Meter
nuestros amigos
Center
aquí
who have come
del
here to join
Centro
with
de
me
la
today
Comunidad.
to
Están
say
aquí para
thanks and to recognize the
darle
fine
las gracias
folks
y
at
para
Hawthorne
reconocer a las
Savings.
personas distinguidas
I
en
have
Hawthorne Savings.
Ethel
Tengo
Grohl,
aquí
Executive
está
Director,
Ethel
Mrs. Gorel,
Ethel,
right here, and then Joe
directora
Turner,
ejecutiva,
Board
y Joe
President,
Turner, presidente,
Mr.
el
Robertson,
señor Robertson,
raise your hand,
alza la mano,
Ms. Ali,
señora Ali,
Coach Horace Penman, and
Coach
Mr.
Horace
Spencer.
Penner y el señor Spencer.
These folks have been going to the Van Meter Center for a very long time. It is a vital part of their daily life, a vital part of their community, and they speak with great authority when I say, well, when they say, what a wonderful place that it is. 3 years ago, Hawthorne Savings formed a unique relationship with the Estelle Van Meter Center. And over time, they have continued to provide ongoing support to this center. Their significant efforts and financial support, along with the delivery of important programs, have improved the quality of life for the people who go there, for community members as well. They have also provided access to safe banking, provided programming on financial literacy, consumer fraud, elder abuse, and prevention programs like that. All of these programs are critically important, but we have to recognize them today because they care about the people at the Estelle Van Meter Center as well as other places, but they care about the people, the seniors at the Estelle Van Meter Center. They have effectively improved the quality of life for the folks who are here with me today and to help them gain the skills that they need to protect themselves from financial harm. And I want to say that I think the folks here from the center would agree that we're all very, very grateful to Hawthorne Savings for Hawthorne Savings' ongoing commitment to community service. And they have indicated that they will continue to perform a great public service to the people who go to the Van Meter Center, and will continue to support our community and recognize the importance of taking care of our seniors. So I want to thank them, thank Hawthorne Savings, and present them with certificates in recognition of their work. But before I do that, I'd just like to ask Board President Joe Turner to stand here with Mrs. Gorels and just say a few words about what this means to the center.
Unas cuantas palabras para decir lo que significa esto a este centro comunitario.
To the chairman, or no, I should say to the council and
Para el
Mr.
Consejo Municipal y
President.
para el señor presidente.
My name is Joe Turner, and I stand here before
estoy
you
aquí con ustedes
to present to you
para
Hawthorne
presentarles
Savings,
a ustedes
because
a
most
Hawthorne
of
Savings
it,
porque
when you see the name
cuando
of a
ustedes ven
bank
el
or
nombre de un
savings, you don't
banco,
think of the
uno
part
piensa
that is necessary
sobre
for
la
us to
parte
live by.
necesaria.
Hawthorne Savings came along to us
El componente que nos
approximately
ayuda.
2.5, 3 years ago, and they
Este
brought
banco vino a nuestra
lifeblood
comunidad
into
hace
the
como 3
Van Meter
años y
Center. How did they bring it in there?
trajeron mucha
Because
energía y muchos
when
servicios a
the
la
Department of
comunidad.
Aging
¿Cómo? Porque el
decided
departamento
that
de
they didn't have
personas de tercera edad,
enough
cuando ellos decían que no tenían
funds to
suficiente
help us
dinero
as
para
well as they did before,
ayudarnos
the
como
slack was
siempre
taken up
mente.
by Hawthorne Savings.
Hawthorne Savings vino
Van Meter, just in
a
case most of
ayudarnos.
you do not
Van
know
Meter,
where it is
este centro comunitario
located
está
in the
ubicado
great CD9.
en el gran distrito
It's a
9.
senior multipurpose center, and all
Es un
of you
centro
are
comunitario
invited to come down
de
and see us. Under the
multipropósitos para
tutelage of
personas mayores de
Mrs.
edad.
Durrell and her staff, we have did an
Bajo la
excellent
dirección
job with the
de
assistance of Hawthorne Savings. Seems like
estas
Hawthorne Savings is my
personas y
only word
también de
today, isn't
Hawthorne
it?
Savings.
But last but not least, we could never have made it this
Con
far
esta unión,
without the consistent help of our great councilwoman of CD9,
con los
Jan Perry.
programas,
And with
junto con
that,
la
I thank you.
asistencia también de la concejala Grant Perry. Y por eso quiero dar las gracias.
Okay, Mrs. Grels is shy today, so I want to say, and I will finish this in the back, but I'm going to be presenting special commendations to Simone Lagomarsino, President and CEO, for his leadership, foresight, Rosemary Hernandez, Senior Vice President for Residential Lending, for her role in this project, and one to Hawthorne Savings, and Simone and Rosemary. So thank you.
Y Simone y Rosemary, me gustaría entregarles a ustedes
In the back.
iremos hacia atrás. Muchas gracias, muchas gracias.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perry, and thank you, the LA City Council. We truly appreciate this recognition today. Hawthorne Savings truly is committed to serving the community, and what that really truly means is that we have employees who really go the extra mile, who are really bringing their heart to work with them every day to make a difference in people's lives. And you've met a couple of them here, Rosemary Hernandez, who runs our residential lending unit, who also sets an example for all of us at the bank every day. Harden, who's over here, who also provides leadership and sets an example for us every day. And this award that's being awarded to Hawthorne Savings really belongs to all of the employees who make a difference. So I want to just quickly acknowledge all of them that are here with us today. We have two of our branch managers, Larry Franklin and Jeff Sullivan, a brand new branch that we just opened in Baldwin Hills. And both of them work to make a difference in their branches every day. We also have Latrice Wilkinson here with us and Warren Harris, who both work every day to understand what the needs are in the community and then to serve those needs. We have Cheryl and Thomas and Teresa, who every Thursday go to Van Meter Center and help with their banking needs and make sure that we serve the seniors at that center. And I just want to thank all of our employees. Did I get everybody? I also want to thank Mrs. Correll, Joe Turner, and Coach, and all of the volunteers at the Van Meter Center. They serve 12,000 families their meals every year. And when you think about what they're doing to make a difference in the community, it's just awesome. And we feel very, very blessed to be able to work with them and partner with them in helping to make a difference. And so we thank you again for the recognition today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Laban, or Mr. Parks.
Señor
Mr. Laban
Parks.
to see. Ms. Perry, let me make a
Señora Perry,
comment. I
un
just want to
comentario.
say,
Quiero
having
decirles
had a
que haber
role
tenido
when the Van Meter Center came
con el
about, and
centro
also
Van Meter
young
comunitario
Mrs.
se
Gurrell,
basó
that used
y
to be
la
one of my
jovencita señora
employees
Gurrell,
at
que era
77 when I
una,
was
trabajaba
a
conmigo en
baby
77
captain.
cuando era un
But I just
capitán
want to
muy
say
joven.
thank you for
Quiero
the
dar las gracias a
service
ustedes
you've
por el
provided.
servicio.
But I think what's most
Pero creo yo
important is
que
that we
más
keep Mrs. Van
importantemente
Meter's
es
name alive for what she
quiero
truly
que el nombre de la
meant to the
señora Van Meter
community.
continúe en
And we
vivo
can
por
recall
lo que ella
all
verdaderamente
having
significaba en la
breakfast in
comunidad.
her house where she gave you your marching orders, and it was
Todos
a
tenían desayuno en su casa donde les daban
requirement
sus órdenes.
of
Era un
anybody in the
requisito de
Los
cualquier
Angeles Police
persona del
Department that
Departamento de
works
Policía de
south
Los
of the
Ángeles que
Santa Monica
trabajaba
Freeway.
al
Your
sur
first
del freeway
appointment
Santa
had to
Monica.
be
Su
with
primera
Mrs.
cita tenía
Van
que ser con la
Meter,
señora Van
so you
Meter
get your marching orders again.
para
So
hacer servicios
I
órdenes
think
de nuevos.
that
Por lo
keeping
tanto,
that
creo yo
program
que
going, particularly for
continuando con
the
este programa,
seniors, as we
particularmente
look at
para
our
las
community
personas de
and it's
tercera
growing
edad,
older, we
considerando
couldn't
que la comunidad
invest in
está
a
ya
better
envejeciendo, no podemos
facility
invertir en
and a
un
better
mejor
program.
lugar
So
y en
just
un mejor
thank you
programa.
for
Por lo
what
tanto,
you're
muchas
doing, and
gracias a
Ms.
ustedes por lo
Gurrell,
que
keep
están
up the
haciendo,
good
señora
work.
Gurrell. Adelante con su buen trabajo.
Thank you, Mr. Parks.
Gracias, señor Parks.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Gracias, señora Perry.
I do believe,
Creo
members, that is
yo,
our final
miembros, que esa es
presentation
nuestra
for
última
today.
presentación para el día de hoy.
Is there any other presentations
¿Alguna otra
today?
presentación el día de hoy? ¿Algo más?
Okay.
No.
Mr. Clerk, next
Señor
item,
Clerk,
please.
Item 2, call special by
Secretario
Councilmember
Municipal.
Perry.
Ms.
Procedemos.
Perry, let's hold this on the
Asunto
desk
2.
while she goes to the back.
Item 3, call special
Asunto
by
3,
Councilmember Holden.
creo que especial por el
Did you wish to
concejal
dispense
Holden.
with this quickly, Ms. Perry?
Señora Perry, con el asunto
Item
2.
2, if you're
Asunto
ready.
2. ¿Está lista? Sí.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Muchas gracias,
President.
señor presidente.
I wanted to make a minor revision on
hacer un cambio
this item.
pequeño.
I would like to request that a portion
Quiero
of the
pedir que una
administrative fees
parte
in the
del
amount of
costo administrativo en la
$5,000
cantidad
be
de
waived,
$5,000
thus
sea
requiring the
excluido,
party
por lo
to pay
tanto,
the $12,000 instead of
pedir
the
que la
larger figure.
persona pague los 12,000 en vez de la cantidad
That's amending the
extra. Bien,
assessment
una
amount.
propuesta es para
Signal for the
cambiar
discussion.
esta
Mr. Clerk, please open the roll
tasación
on the item as
sin
amended. Please
cargo
close the
final.
roll
Ábrase voto,
and
cierra su voto y
tabulate the
tabúlese
vote.
conteo. Entonces, sí, se ha sido aprobado.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Gracias,
Next
señora
item,
Perry.
please.
Procedamos.
Item 3, call special by
Asunto
Councilmember
3, que
Holden.
es por el señor Holden.
President, members, I think we should have someone come to the table to discuss
Pase a alguien,
the
un
reserve
miembro
fund.
personal para hablar sobre este
There's
asunto.
staff here on item number 3.
Hay miembros del personal aquí sobre asunto número 3.
Mr. Fujioka,
Señor Fujioka.
item number 3.
Asunto 3.
Good morning, Mr. Fujioka.
Sir.
How are you doing, sir? Mr. Fujioka, I'm looking at item 3 here.
Yo
in
que
the
estoy viendo asunto 3
reserve funds, and
acerca de
it's
los
clear that
fondos que están en la reserva, es claro que
we have a
en este
$4.8
reporte tenemos
million
$4.8 millones
most of
de
these monies
dólares
are
que no han sido
provided
recibidos.
to
Este
certain
dinero
departments,
se
and
entregará a
we have
diferentes
some of them
departamentos.
listed even in the
Tenemos algo de
ITA,
estos
the
incluidos
city
en el
attorney's
ITA,
office, the
la
mayor's
oficina fiscalía,
office,
oficina de la alcaldía,
CDD,
etcétera,
and indicated as an
esto
attachment to the report
indica
when the
también
money will
como
be
el reporte
repaid.
anexo cuando se pagará este dinero,
When will the loans be repaid?
cuándo se pagarán estos préstamos. Nos
the date that the money
dice
is
la
expected to be
fecha
repaid.
que
It also
espera
suggests
recibir
that some
pagos.
of the
También
money is
sugiere que esta
uncollectible.
cantidad
Could you
no
discuss both of those
será
items for us?
conectado ya.
Through the normal
El
process, as we
proceso
close
normal,
books every
mientras
year,
cerramos los
when we
libros
back up,
financieros cada año,
reserve fund loans are
los
normally
préstamos de fondos de cuentas de reservas
for cash flow
normalmente es
purposes
prohibido para
in the
propósitos de flujo
anticipation
de
of receiving,
dinero efectivo, anticipando
I think the
el
most frequent
recibimiento, creo yo,
circumstances, receiving grant
que
funds throughout the
recibiendo
course of the
fondos
year.
de
So we
becas
would
durante el año,
provide
por
a
lo
loan
tanto
for the
proveemos
reserve
un
to a
préstamo
department
de las
for
cuentas
the
de reserva
day-to-day
del
operating
departamento para
costs. And
sus
then once grant funds
costos
are received,
de
we would
administración
in turn
diaria,
reimburse
y
the reserve
mientras
fund.
reciben estos
Through the course of
becas,
clearing,
entonces
of ending
se
the
pagan
year
estos
and
préstamos.
closing our books, we aggressively pursue the
Nosotros
the
casi al fin
repayment of those
será
reserve fund
nuestro año
loans. We're doing that
económico.
now, and we'll continue to do that
Agresivamente
as a department receives their grant
buscamos que
funds or
estos préstamos sean
the alternate
pagados.
funding source. In some
En
instances,
ciertos
the department may
momentos con el departamento
miscalculate
quizás
the amount of money that's totally reimbursable. And that's where you see a difference between what we can collect and what is characterized as the uncollectible. It's something that we've been very aggressive with over the past couple of
sobre
years.
todo los préstamos con exactitud. Noto hay cierta diferencia. ¿Puede identificar usted los departamentos? Se identifica que hay ciertos préstamos para departamentos no será colectado.
There's a variety of
Esos
reasons. In some
varios años
instances,
por cuales están
the
estos libros
services
o
provided
otras zonas. Por distintas
may
razones,
not
a
be
veces los
fully
servicios que se proveen
reimbursable.
quizás
So,
no serán
for
reembolsados completamente. Por ejemplo,
if they
si
attempt to collect
ellos tratan de
or seek
colectar,
reimbursement for an
recibir
administrative
reembolso
position,
por una
if
posición
that
administrativa, si esta
position, and initially
posición
they would anticipate using or getting reimbursement for the total cost for that position. Whereas if that position actually was responsible for a multitude of programs, we can only collect or seek reimbursement for a portion of that salary. And that's where you'll see the difference, especially for very large grants.
So you come to make a decision that $4.8 million of the total amount in this year's reserve fund loans are uncollectible.
año no serán colectados, que yo que es más
That's what I'm asking you about. Did you carry them for
de
more
lo que
than a
queda este
year?
año. Sí.
It's a total amount
Es una
of
cantidad
existing
total
outstanding reserve fund
Going back
loans.
how far,
de
perhaps?
préstamos.
I don't have a report in
See,
front of me,
the
but
report here doesn't say
quite a few years.
doesn't say when the loan was
Esto aquí no dice
granted
cuándo
and
se otorgó el
approved. It just
préstamo
talked
y
about the
cuándo fue aprobado,
expected
solamente habla
payment date.
acerca de la
So if you
fecha
had in this
que se
report,
espera.
if
Por
it
lo
were
tanto, si
complete,
se tiene
then
esos
I'll be able
reportes,
to
si
see,
este reporte fuera completo,
or
si
maybe
yo
I do
podría
see,
ver, o quizás
council
si lo
file
mire,
number, but
el
I'm
número
not sure,
de
no. It doesn't say when the
archivo,
loan
pero
was
no
actually
dice
made.
cuándo se
Well,
hizo este
the
préstamo.
disadvantage I have is you do know that
Lo
it's
que
the
tengo aquí
controller's
es que
report
es ese reporte
that you're
de
referring to, and not a report from our office. But
director
we get that
de
information and
finanzas,
work
pero esta
closely with the
información
controller and then attempt to seek the reimbursement. Oh, here it is.
es
From the,
comparada con
from
el director
the respective
de
city departments.
finanzas. Y esta información adicional de parte de diferentes departamentos. Señor Parks, ¿quiere interrumpir un minuto? Quiero reconsiderar asunto 6 para un cambio técnico antes de perder el voto número 12 votos. ¿Está bien con usted, señor Holden? Sí, claro. Bien. Miembros sin protesta. Tomemos un breve descanso sobre asunto número 3. Señor Parks, ha pedido reconsiderar asunto número 6. ¿Habla ese voto? ¿En esa reconsideración? ¿Cierra ese voto? Establece conteo. Entonces, sí. Ahora sí está pendiente. Asunto de reconsideración. Hay una moción que es técnica. Quiero cambiar la fecha. El de fecha de hoy. Del 30 de mayo. Bien, sin preguntas adicionales. Antonio, abre ese voto de nuevo.
Mr. President, Does this have Dennis Zine?
Please close the roll
Cierre ese voto y establece conteo.
and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 sí.
That is once
Esto ha
again
sido
approved.
aprobado.
Forthwith, please.
Esto será enviado al asistente del alcalde.
All right.
Back to item number 3, Mr.
Eso
Holden.
no estoy de nuevo,
You
señor Holden.
understand my question, sir?
Yes, but
Esta
getting back to
pregunta
this
sí, pero
report,
luego,
I was reminded
hablando sobre este
that
reporte, me recordaron que
2 to 3 months ago, we
hace 2 o 3
brought
meses
forward to this council a very detailed report.
presentamos un
And I
reporte
believe you have the
detallado
information
y creo que tiene una
you're
información
seeking right now
que usted está pidiendo ahorita.
when the reserve fund was reserve fund loan was provided to a department for
Así que
what
cuando
specific
se
grant, how much was
le
reimbursable,
otorgó
how much was uncollectible, and so on. And that report was approved,
este préstamo
I want to say at least a couple of
colectible,
months
creo
ago,
que
2
este
to 3
reporte
months
fue
ago.
aprobado hace como 2
This
o
is the
3 meses.
controller's
Este es
report
el reporte
that provides a
de
further
la directora
status
de
of
finanzas
where
que
we're
prevé
at with
un
the
estatus
reserve
adicional
funds.
acerca
Yeah,
de
but by
nuestra
inspection, I
posición
don't
actual
have
en cuanto a
access
esos
to the
fondos,
information
pero yo
you
tengo
just mentioned.
acceso a esta información, yo se la
And I think
entregaré.
it's worth noting
Creo
or
que
having
vale
an
la pena
attachment to this controller report.
tener un
next time it
documento
comes
anexo
before the
en ese
council,
reporte antes de
where
que
all
se
the
presente
information is
ante el Consejo
included.
Municipal,
When
asegurando que
we
toda la
meet the
información sea
Budget and
incluida.
Finance Committee, and some of the questions then would have already been answered.
That'd be great. I think in the,
Eso
in
es
the
bien.
future,
Creo que en el futuro
we'll work with the controller's
trabajaremos
office
con
to
el
ensure that our
director de
reports
finanzas para asegurar que
go forward at the same time, so
estos
you have the full
reportes
picture.
sean incluidos al mismo tiempo para así usted tenga
Thank
una
you.
mejor idea de esto.
Thank
Bien,
you.
gracias. Todo
Thank you,
esto
Mr.
nos
Holden.
gracias,
Other members
señor
wishing
Holden.
to be
¿Alguien más
heard
desea
on
hacer
item number
presentación
3?
sobre asunto número 3?
Seeing none, Mr.
Si no,
Clerk, please
actuario, abre
open
ese
the roll.
voto.
Please close the roll
Cierre ese
and
voto y
tabulate the
tabule ese
vote.
conteo.
11 ayes.
11 sí, ha sido aprobado.
Next item, please.
Procedamos, por favor.
Item 4, called special by Councilmember
Texto
Gruen.
especial por la concejala Gross, asunto número 4.
Thank you, Mr.
Gracias,
President, and I
señor
will be brief.
presidente.
This is the child care
Esto es
policy
la
that
póliza
we have
para
before us
cuidado
and how we
de
can
niños
amend it and
menores de
update it.
edad.
Believe it
Y
or
los
not,
cambios
it
que
has not been
creo que
updated since
se
I worked at Tom
puede
Bradley in
mejorar. Este no ha sido
1987,
actualizado
where we
desde
composed the first child care
1987.
policy, which pledged to expand and
Esto
improve the number of child care facilities and slots and services
Debía
throughout Los
mejorar
Angeles.
las guarderías.
Today,
en la
15
ciudad de Los
years, we continue to
Ángeles.
have some of those same
Después
problems, and I
continuamos
think we need
teniendo
to
estos
update it. And
problemas y
so
creo que tenemos
we
que
have
actualizarlos. Por lo tanto,
before you is a
tenemos
task force, just an approval of a
una
task force that will come
aprobación
back to
de un
revise
grupo
the
de
child care
personas
policy,
que
to come back
pasará
and give
la
us
póliza de esta
recommendations on how we
guardería,
can
nos dará
better
recomendaciones
serve,
para
how we can
mejorar
leverage funds both locally, state, and
esas
federally
guarderías
to increase
y utilizar
child care
fondos a
here in
nivel
the city of Los
municipal,
Angeles.
estatal
So I just
y
wanted to
federal.
highlight that the importance of this,
Por
we're
tanto,
going to be
quiero
talking about
de la
child care
importancia de esto, hablamos
facilities,
acerca de
city-funded programs we
guarderías,
found in our CDBG, Mr. Garcetti and I, in our
programas que
comp
son
plan,
respaldados por los
that many of our
gobiernos.
child care centers
Nos
were
van a
deeply
encontrar
impacted
muchos
by some of
de
the
las
federal
guarderías
cuts. So we want to set forward a clear
impactadas por
policy on where the
asignación
city
de fondos de
stands
parte
on
del federal. Por
the
tanto,
importance of
queremos
child care
mejorar
here in the
esta
city of
póliza
Los
para
Angeles.
así
So I just would
enviar un
ask for an
mensaje
aye
de
vote
la
today for the
importancia
creation of that task force, and we
de
look forward to
parte
their
de esta ciudad
expeditious
para
review
mejorar esas
and
guarderías. Por lo tanto,
plans
pido
that they will come
su
forward to the city
aprobación
council.
para poder
Thank you, Mr. President.
organizar
Ms. Gruhl, and I'm sure
comité
waiting lists are going to be
comunitario
part of that task force
para
consideration.
mejorar esta
Other members
guardería.
wishing to be heard on this
Para mejorar las
item?
guarderías en la ciudad y también esta
Seeing none,
póliza.
Mr. Clerk, please open the roll.
Secretario Municipal, abra su
Please
voto
close
sobre
the
asunto,
roll
cierre su
and
voto y
tabulate
tabule ese
the vote.
conteo.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Item 4 is
Asunto
approved.
4 ha
Next
sido
item,
aprobado.
please.
Procedamos, por favor.
Item 5, called special by
Sigo
Councilmember
especial
Holden,
por el
and a motion
concejal
is
Holden
required.
y se necesita una moción para reabrirse.
Mr. Holden,
Señor Holden,
your button, please.
su botón, por favor.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the staff come forward.
Señor presidente, quiero que el miembro del
Is staff available on item number 5?
Asunto 5.
Good morning, Jim Langley, Assistant Director, Bureau of Sanitation.
Lisa Mowry, Bureau of Sanitation.
Adel Hashley with Bureau of Sanitation.
The subject matter is the relocation of the interceptor sewer between National Boulevard and Rodeo. Is that correct? And the money is available to do that? We talked about borrowing some money for that. Will you bring us up to date of what you're proposing today?
What we're proposing to date is that we will fund fund for next fiscal year, $2.6 million, and the remaining funding for this project will come from the following year. The project should be finished within a couple of years.
And the statement you just made is not a part of the report that it left my committee. the Environmental Quality and Waste Management Committee. What about the Budget and Finance Committee? It was waived out of that committee. So therefore, what you're saying is something new for the council.
New information, yes.
Right. And so as I'm prepared to note and file, I want to note and file my report with the information that you just shared with us to be included. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Restate that for the record so the clerk can get it done.
Okay, we are planning to fund $2.6 million for 0304 for this project. The remaining money will come from the following fiscal year. We have not nailed down a total cost yet. We are still looking at the scope on the project because there may be less expensive ways to do it. But the remaining funding will be budgeted for 0405.
Would you describe for the public the scope of work that you're proposing?
The scope of work is to relocate a sewer that is currently located underneath buildings. It's not accessible to the Bureau of Sanitation maintenance staff for maintaining the sewer line. So we're bringing that sewer out into the street so it will be more accessible.
And you're also doing that because it's deteriorated? I mean, give us, why are you spending all this money?
The sewer line is in need of rehab or relocation. We have found that relocation is the better way to go.
And that will give added value to the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, fine. So we may have some way of acquiring the money through the added value of the property as well.
That's
maybe
true.
Another source.
Yeah.
Mr. President, members, I think it should become a part of the report that MTA is considering moving the Division 6 from Venice to that site. And the developer of the proposed property at the site, which is not currently located by Division 6, is intended to free that site up and move the Division 6 to this congested area adjacent to Target near Jefferson, in that area, which will impact the traffic more severely than it is already. Now, there's another problem when they do the environmental impact study, and that is that this sewer line, if MTA is going to go in there, it seems fair to me that they should help pay for this. And they are meeting on this, I think, next week, and we'll notify you when they are. So this department, that we can instruct the department to appear before MTA, the body, and let them know what the problem is, number one. And number two, if they plan to move their high, what has to be corrected. And their participation financially will be required in order to get that done, which of course frees our money to go someplace else. But we'll have two things before us today. One, we'll do fiscal 02, 03, 03, 04, and then 03, 04,
0304, 0405.
05,
Yes.
and or MTA total contribution to the relocation of the sewer line that will give them an opportunity to build what they want to build there if everything else is signed off by the public in the community.
That's
okay. So we'll let you know what date that is.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Ms. Misikowski.
I have no problem with Mr. Holden's adding that this report is given to us today be attached to his recommendation for noting and filing his motion. But I did, when you talked about that the project would be a relocation project, it seems to me it was 2 weeks ago when you were here and told us that relocation as opposed to rebuilding on site was going to be an additional $2 million. And so that your recommendation 2 weeks ago was that you could do it quicker, more efficiently, and eliminate the problems of this deteriorating sewer with the $2.6 million. What's changed in terms of your look now at saying that you want to relocate it? And is that cost going to escalate double or nearly double what's $2.6 million?
I met last week to study this whole project, in fact, the whole area where the sewer is located. There are other areas within this particular area of the city where there are sewers that were built under, I should say they weren't built under, they were built first, and development came along and built over these sewer lines. So we see it as a much bigger problem. This particular area lends itself very well to this type of relocation project because we will be able to construct a diversion structure that will allow us to divert that flow around this particular location while we relocate the sewer line. Now that can only be done on a temporary basis because we need both of these sewer lines to provide the adequate capacity for the area. But
Long-term, you need both of them, or you'll need long-term and then be...
long-term, yes, we need both of them.
So you're saying that the one under the property is going to have to remain?
No, I'm sorry. There is another sewer in the area that lends itself to being a sewer line that we can use for temporary diversion of flow while we go in and replace this other sewer line.
And again,
relocate the sewer line.
replacement was always understood. The question of relocation, we were told 2 weeks ago when this motion was on the agenda that it would be an additional $2 million over the 2.6, an estimate.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know you had. Are you still, is the relocation proposal still going to be an additional $2 million on top of 2.6?
We think it will be in that range. We are looking at other options of rerouting the sewer. Rather than a proposed relocation, there may be a way to relocate it in other streets in that area. But we're looking at a number of other options at this point.
So based on what you explained to Councilmember Holden, that there is $2.6 million in this year's capital improvement program, our sewer maintenance fund program.
0304.
0304, right, this year meaning the next year that's about to start. And that you would look to seek additional money the following fiscal year. That's a commitment close to $4 million or maybe more for this particular project.
Or maybe less.
Or maybe
depending on
less.
What other options we come up with.
You're still holding to your initial theory that the relocation will cost more than the rebuilding it on site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you for addressing this issue so quickly. And as you go forward on it, we still want to ensure, and as we hear from both 8th and 10th District constituents, that the odor cleansing mechanism is moving forward, because again, what we're addressing is about a 10-year-old problem that community views as being a significant problem, and they're not willing to wait another 10 years as we get the entire sewer system fixed. So I really appreciate you moving forward on that particular project, but the odor treatment project we hope gets facilitated because many people have lived in an area of great concern and health issues for a long while. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, I too want to congratulate the department, especially Ms. Judy Wilson, who came to my meeting, the last meeting I held on this issue, after we referred back to my committee, and we discussed the matter in total, which included points made that it should be the department initiating this effort, because they, more than anyone else, understand what the need is, rather than coming from an elective body requesting that this effort be initiated for the purpose of correcting the problem, which has existed for many, many years, and could become catastrophic in the area should that sewer line cave in, continue to deteriorate, collapse, and you're going to have a real mess out there, as it has in other areas of that, other streets in that general area.
Right.
Down Rodeo, it just collapsed, and the sewer had to be lifted out, the sleeve had to be put in, and then it took another 3 years to retrofit the whole line. And so this preemptive strike, you might say, putting it that way, and supported by Ms. Judith Wilson, is to be commended. And so I won't be here, but Mr. Parks will, and I'm glad to know that at least today the council will give you unanimous support on the motion.
Thank you.
And by the way, that meeting with the MTA is June 26th at 9:30 in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, then I believe what we have before us is a substitute motion offered by Mr. Holden. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 7 called special, inasmuch as there is a motion required.
Item 7 requires a motion. This is a personnel-related item. Do we have the chairman of the committee?
Motion to move the personnel report.
Okay. Any further discussion on item number 7? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 8 called special by Councilmember Zine.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. On that item, I'd like to also move on the budget and finance report.
Okay. Any further discussion on item number 8? Seeing none, we have a motion before us. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, please close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Secretario
Item 12,
Municipal, el
call special by
siguiente
Councilmember Holden.
asunto 12.
Mr. Holden, item 12.
Tercer especial por el señor Holden. Señor
Mr.
Holden.
President, members, maybe someone should come and talk about this LA tax.
Your
Señor
button, please, Mr.
Presidente,
Holden.
Yes.
miembros.
Push. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm
Bueno,
Rosa
su nombre
Cepeda
es
with the
Rosa
CAO.
Cepeda con el
Oh, very good. Ms. Sikorsky had some comments that I think is significant here. In this report of item 12, we're talking about LA tax, and Ms. Sikorsky expressed concern about the timeliness of the vendor's work, and asked that the SCO, what safeguards are in place to ensure that the work is performed on time. I think it's important for us to know they're under contract. They're under contract for the purpose of doing what? Collecting taxes that are due, is that correct? And
de
that
colectar
we're paying
impuestos
them,
que se deben.
and they're
Si
not
estamos
collecting
pagando y no
anything.
están colectando
That's a
nada,
deficit, more of a
esto
deficit.
es
Tell us about what's being
pérdida.
done,
¿Qué
why
es lo
it's
que
being
se está haciendo
done,
y por qué se
why
está
the
haciendo y
contract is in
por qué los
place, how
contratos
long
están
it's been in
vigentes,
place,
cuánto
and
tiempo
what
se
kind
ha
of revenue
estado
have we
vigentes y
received,
qué clase de
increase that is.
ingresos hemos recibido.
Yes, this is the contractor that was contracted to design, develop, and implement the tax and permit replacement system. And they advised us that there would be approximately a 2.5 month delay in the project. And the reason for this is that there were a complex set of business rules and processing conditions that didn't become evident to them until completion of the requirements phase. The contract is a 30-month fixed-price contract. So the delay merely extends when we implement, or it may extend when we implement. However, there is no additional cost to the city involved.
Pero no hay costo adicional para la ciudad.
Collecting. I think this, when this
Estamos
matter came
colectando, creo que
before
con
me,
este asunto fue
when I
presentado
raised some
cuando
questions about it, I think Ms. Sikorsky was familiar with this outfit, this company at the time, and maybe she wants to elaborate on it, but I can tell you that my concern then and now is that we are paying them for services, right?
Yes, we are paying them to develop it. Excuse me?
What is the contract amount to
It's
this firm?
approximately $10 million.
10 million.
For the vendor.
And when did we let this contract to them?
It was in July of 2002.
Right. And for the term of
I'm
the
sorry,
contract.
2001, I'm
The
sorry.
contract for the term of
30 months,
por 30 meses.
fixed price.
30 months. I mean,
Costo fijo, 30
almost 24 months
meses, ya
already.
casi ha
How much
pasado
money have they
24
brought in?
meses. ¿Cuánto dinero han colectado?
Actually, the new system, the old system
El sistema
continues to
previo
collect
continúa
taxes. They do it in a
colectando
different
impuestos,
way,
pero lo
more
hacen de diferente
manual.
manera.
This is a new
Manualmente, este es un
system
nuevo
which
sistema,
involves new
cual involucra nueva
technology.
tecnología.
I was concerned about it then, and I'm more concerned about
Entonces
it
sí me
now.
preocupa más
We
ahora.
let a $10 million contract
Dejar un
out,
contrato de 10
and there's been no
millones.
benefits derived. The taxpayers have
Pasar
put
sin
the money in.
beneficios.
30 months are up, the 24 months are up. By December,
Ya
the
se
end
está
of the year,
mencionando
it'll
24
be
meses
30
de
months.
diciembre,
And then
fin
the
del
contract
año, y luego el
would be over. Is
contrato
that
ya
correct?
terminará.
The
¿Es así?
vendor will continue to provide
El
services
contratista
until we
continuará
fully
proveyendo servicios
implement
hasta que
at
estos
no
sean
additional
implementados
cost to the
completamente
city.
sin costo adicional a la
Until you
ciudad,
implement
hasta
the
que
software, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
implementen el
So that's what we're talking about. They're providing the
sistema
software.
computarizado.
Yes, there was a requirements
presentando
phase and an
software.
implementation
Había
phase. The
un-
requirements phase is when they came
fase
through and
de
they looked at all the
requisitos y
cities'
otra implementación
business
de
requirements
requisitos
and
cuando la
processing
fase de
rules,
requisitos
and
cuando
they
llegaron a la
developed the
ciudad,
system.
miraron todo el
And
proceso
now
y
we're in
salieron
the
el sistema y
process
estamos
of
en el proceso de
implementing that. We're going
implementar
through
el
all the
sistema.
different
Estamos
phases in order to be
todas
able
las
to
fases para
implement.
poder
And what
implementar
you're
esto.
using another system parallel,
Y
in
otro
conjunction with this system.
aquí otro
Yes,
sistema,
How
otro
they
sistema
different?
junto con esto sí.
Who implemented that
¿Quién
system? Where
implementó ese
did we
sistema?
get that one from?
¿De dónde conseguimos este sistema?
I'm not certain how
Estoy
long it's been in
seguro cuánto tiempo ha
existence.
estado
Bill Koenig with the
vigente.
CIO's
Bill
office.
Koenig
That
con
is the
el
existing
CIO. Este
legacy
es el
system that has been
sistema
used for
de
many, many
legacy
years, I believe at least 20,
actual por
25
20 o
years by the
25
city.
años por la ciudad.
The proposed system
El
is
sistema
to
que estamos
replace
proponiendo es para
that and to
reemplazar
provide
el sistema para
enhancements,
proveer
to provide for current
mejoramientos,
technology.
mejor
What's the problem with the
tecnología.
legacy system? You
¿Qué
still
problema
collect
con el
taxes.
sistema
It
de
is,
legacy?
it
Ahora
is
estamos
operating
pagando
on
impuestos, está
Band-Aids at the present time. It
ahorita
is not responsive to the various
funcionando
needs of the
con
Office of Finance. It
curitas,
has no
por decir,
capability for
no tiene
online
capacidad
access.
para la tecnología
It could not be modified.
moderna.
It was, yes, sir, it could not be
No
modified.
puede ser mejorado para adaptarse a la tecnología actual.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Ms. Misikowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Holden is correct. When this came to Budget and Finance, I had some questions because I don't think they were adequately answered in the report by the CAO's office. But since then, I have talked to the CAO and the Office of Finance. And Mr. Holden, you're right. This just said they're not meeting their deadline, so let it extend. What was told to me is they're not meeting the deadline because this company underutilized the complexities of the project. Normally, when that has happened in the past, a vendor comes and says, gee, it's more difficult than I thought, it's going to cost more. This developer, this contractor doesn't have that authority to come back and say it costs more. This is no change order, this is what they bid on, fixed price, they have to deliver. So they indicated they will deliver at no additional cost. The deadline slippage here, the reason it was important to have it put on the table is this isn't just perhaps a 3-month slip or a 5-month slip, because if they don't meet the deadline by November, this is our tax and permit office that sends out notices at that time period. If we don't have a new system in place and all the bugs worked out, it would be chaos. So if they don't make it by November, the city has told them, you've got to carry this project from beyond November till about next April, when we've gone through our issuance of our bills, our issuance of it, because we're going to go with the old system, because that's one we know. So you have to not only eat the cost of what you thought were complexities, because that's the bid, but you also have to eat the additional cost of time and consultants on this job through November to April, so that we then get the system in April and have time to work the bugs out before the next series or next cycle. So I was satisfied with that. I was assured that on the steering committee, we have the CAO, the CLA, the mayor's office, and they are holding this contractor's feet to that commitment. So it's unfortunate that we won't have it in place early enough to get all the bugs out, to put it into place this November. But beyond, and they may still be able to pull out all stops and get there, because they may not want to carry it for the next couple of months. But either way, we have the deliverable, they've got to do it, and they've got to do it now on our time schedule if they don't meet the time schedule that they initially suggested. So I'm satisfied with this, and in noting and file the status report. We'll get another one in the next few months and make sure we know what's going on.
Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Ms. Misakasi. I mean, the point was made, and I think my colleagues are listening to the fact that if you have any more slippage in the delivery of the software and the implementation of it into a program operation, then of course it's going to have an adverse effect on the city collecting its taxes in a timely fashion. That's what it sounds like to me. And that being the case, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The taxes will continue to be collected.
We're using the old system, the Band-Aid one, which is the best one. That's the only one you're going to have.
The only one we have right now, sir.
Yeah, okay, sure.
But the newer system would provide greater enhancements, greater customer friendliness for this.
So what you're doing now is it's already designed, developed, but they're trying to debug it, sound like to me.
No, it's not. It has not been completely designed, sir. We are receiving modules.
2 years is not designed?
No, well, it's designed, but it hasn't been delivered. They are delivering modules, and as the modules are received by the Office of Finance, they are testing those modules to make sure they are compatible. That is the decision that the steering committee will make in July, August, or September about the November implementation regarding how many of the modules are delivered and the quality of those modules that they interface with each other.
This company, who were some of the satisfied customers prior to the fact we giving them a contract?
I do not have that information present. We can get it for your officer.
She should have had a track record.
They do, but I just do not have that information with me.
Tienen que tener clientes satisfechos, así sí es, pero no lo tengo.
Just won't happen on time, that's all.
No lo tendrán a tiempo.
I think against it.
Y yo estamos por arriba en contra de esto. Bien. ¿Alguien más hace presentación sobre este asunto? Ni no.
Mr. Clerk, please open the roll.
Abra ese voto.
Please close the
Cierre ese
roll
voto y
and
tabulece el
tabulate the
conteo.
vote.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
That is
Esto ha
approved.
sido aprobado.
Next item, please.
Procedamos, por favor.
Item 27, called special by
7 que observa
Councilmember
el
Weiss.
concejal
For
Weiss.
taking up item 27, Ms. Perry, for a special introduction.
I just wanted to say that we have a special visitor here, and he's in my chair. His name is Mr. Dion Allen, and he is from Windsor Hills Elementary School, 10 years old, and he's visiting us today as part of Phi Beta Sigma fraternities Bring a Youth to Work Day, and he was brought here today by the chief of my field office, Donald Lancaster. Let's say hello, and thank you.
Welcome, Dion. I like Dion already. His favorite subject is math. Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome to you, Mr. Allen. Hope you have a good day here in City Hall. I want to offer a friendly amendment to your motion, Mr. President, to make this matter apply to all council districts, and also offer a technical amendment. I understand the account number needs to be changed to 9324 Citywide Festival Grants.
Okay, that's accepted as a friendly amendment. Any further discussion on item 27? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on the item as amended. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Item 27 as amended is approved. Next item, please.
Item 33, called special by Councilmember Reyes.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I call this special because I just wanted to make sure we understand that we still have a lot of work in our preservation of our historic homes. Here in Pico Union, we have a tremendous example of architecture that goes back to the turn of the century, but primarily around the 20s and 30s. We have grand homes being built. We need this ICO in order for us to preserve those homes and make sure we allow the planning department to finish up the work for the historic preservation overlay zone. So I ask for an aye vote, unanimous vote, to put this in place, and I thank you for your support in our efforts in preserving our historic treasures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Other members wishing to be heard on item 33? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please, on item 33. Colleagues, a reminder, the closed session item from today's agenda has been continued. I do believe that's the end of the regular agenda. Without objection, let's take a pause in the regular agenda. And Mr. Clerk, please call the roll on the special meeting.
Johnson, Miranda, Garcetti, Guerrero, Hahn, Holden, Benjamin, Sikowski, Pacheco, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Weiss, Zion, Padilla, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The special meeting agenda is now before us. It's a one-item agenda. Members wishing to call this item special.
Pendiente, alguien que sea que usted esté como especial
Of the special meeting agenda,
de la agenda especial.
Ms. Gruhl wishes to call this item
Este
special.
asunto como especial.
Go ahead.
I hope this is the right item on the project in your district, right? The service center.
That is correct.
And I'd like to, if I can, Mr. President, and Mr. Button too, just a question, and this is a great idea because it will serve part of my district as well, which is adjacent. I think I have talked to many of my colleagues who are also interested, obviously, in having constituent service centers. And what I'd like to do, and I know I have one up in my Summerton area, which is a very small city building that we'd like to have some services. If we could, and I know our CAO is here, at some point get a report back on two items. One is where the plans are for all the community service centers and how we can, again, make sure that we are geographically serving the entire city of Los Angeles, and two, the funding for all of them. I know this is just the initial purchase price for this property, but will include additional dollars relative to construction, as well as some of the other districts. So I offer that as kind of a friendly amendment if we could get a report back from the CAO, and I know that some of this has been talked about in the past, and I don't know if you have any comments to make on that. That's fine with a friendly amendment of this item.
Further information to be reported back is absolutely fine. I'll offer Mr. Fujioka, who my office has been working with for a couple of years on this, as well as General Services, and Raul Bocanega from my office, if you'd like individual briefings as well. Mr. Pacheco, followed by Ms. Mizikowski and Mr. Zine.
Mr. President and colleagues, I just want to bring some information to the table that a couple of years ago, we did do a citywide survey, and I do appreciate the question, and I do support the citywide viewpoint, because when they did do the citywide viewpoint, the top two priorities were the east side and CD7, so stay focused on the citywide approach, because obviously want to make sure that the east side gets their constituent service center as soon as possible. We have not been able to find a significant parcel to make it happen in our situation, so I do want to commend Council President Padilla for getting his parcel and his site located. We have not been able to do that, but Ms. Gruel, there is a report, they can get you an update on it, but I'm sure that when Mr. Villaraigosa gets here, he will also advocate that those two priorities stay in place.
Thank you, and this also dovetails into the Teamwork LA concept in the neighborhood city halls. Ms. Misikowski.
I share the support for the report coming back. Actually, there has been, as Mr. Pacheco said, a couple of reports, but I think most recently the council has re-emphasized the report back. We really need general services and the CAO, not only to look at where and how we can do them, but a lot of different tools in the toolbox. Members, we've been seeing articles, and I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to be dedicating the new Marvin Valley San Fernando Valley Constituent Service Center, or Van Nuys City Hall. And it really was an innovative program, a private partnership with the public. We found a way to do it that was able to use our MICLA funds. I will say that as I read this item and looked at it special today and got the committee report, I was concerned because it said stuff like there's no CAO report, there's no CLA report, but then when I did do what you suggested, get a little bit more background, a little more briefing, I found that in September of last year, we had adopted a motion, and the CLA, CAO had done reports on it, had supported this specific project with a couple of different specific properties, and we, the council, approved a report in September saying that $2 million was going to be set aside in the MICLA fund when we did that issuance for the 02-03 budget in September, and it was just then to be executed when we could negotiate a purchase price that made sense. So this is a follow-up. I am going to say that I think the committee report could have been a little clearer to give that information, because saying no CAO report, no CLA report always get me a little riled, and no information about the financial impact. But there was CAO report, there was a CLA report, it had been previously done. And members, when we get that report from General Services, the other thing it's going to show us all is where there are surplus properties in our districts. I think we all have our eye on our Constituent Service Center, West LA, the underutilized, the poor building in a municipal complex has a great big parking lot in the back. And I have been working with CBD and various developers on possible land swaps, where we would get valuable open space land that developers own and are threatening to develop, in exchange for giving them the option to develop housing on the back of that parking lot, which could then help provide more parking and help give us another tool to impact and improve Constituent Service Center. So we need to put our thinking caps on. We need to be enlightened as we think of economic development and community development. But it can work. This matrix that General Services is working on will give us the big picture, and we can probably put a couple of these purchases, if necessary, in MICLA for the next upcoming years. But then beyond that, we need to get creative, like we did in Van Nuys, and like I think we can in a couple of other locations, to really find the tools to make something work other than just the dependency of general fund, because that's what it's going to take. It is going to take those public-private partnerships. This is one that was identified, was a high priority, and is consistent with what the council has previously enacted and what the CLA and CAO have recommended. So having had that background, I have no problem with moving this forward today, but would like to ask that at least the city clerk's office in doing these reports provide a little bit more of that background information so it's clear when we just look at the report to start with.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have a map of our beautiful San Fernando Valley, and I don't know if the camera can focus in on this, but we have the valley divided up, and this was given to me to display by Mr. Historian Tom LaBonge. What we have What we have is some centers that are already in place. This particular center will add to the configuration that we want to do to provide service to the San Fernando Valley. What you'll find is My office has one in Reseda. There's one that's proposed for Cal State Northridge area that will cover the northwest San Fernando Valley. We've got the Rowdy Center that's going to be opening soon, the one in the 7th District that we're discussing today. And then over there in Wendy Grove's territory, a satellite that could be developed into a full constituent service center. So if we do the full phase, we'll be able to provide the Valley residents with close proximity to the full service center so they don't have to travel long distances to get things done. So 5 in the San Fernando Valley will basically cover the entire San Fernando Valley. And does that fit into your plan, Mr. Fujioka? Thank you very much.
We'll report back soon, absolutely.
I knew you would say something like that. But we're almost there. The one that we're hopefully going to approve today in the 7th District will add to that configuration. And then if we can upgrade the one in the 2nd District and then one near CSUN up in the Chatsworth, Northridge, Grand Hills area, we can have full coverage of the San Fernando Valley with close distance to all the residents of the San Fernando Valley. So I do support this, and just wanted to add this that was put together by Councilman Labange's office to show how that all works out for the constituent service centers for the people of the San Fernando Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. And I believe that is the end of the special meeting agenda. Let us now adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular meeting. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Now will be time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Council calls forward at this time Ruth Summers, Burgess Payne, to be followed by Gloria Taylor and Laura Burns. Please come forward at this time.
Making sure that everyone gets a copy of this.
Okay, I'll have the sergeant collect those from you.
I really and truly would like to thank you guys for all your work that you do for the city, and anytime I visit down here, I see the commendations and such, and notice how well you are doing with working with people. I wanted to make certain that Mr. Parks and Ms. Perry is aware that our Normandy Avenue Festival, we have not received notification back yet. We were supposed to get notification within about 14 days, and Ms. Perry did such a nice job for us last time, and Mr. Parks wasn't in yet. However, thank you very kindly. I love it. Nice. Sorry about that. Okay. God bless you. Now, the other little item that we brought down was God bless you. Appreciate it. Anyway, the other little item that we brought down was in reference to the entire budgets for the country. And it may seem like a strange thing to bring it here, but the city of Los Angeles has done a wonderful thing in the past month, or in this month, that is, when you determined that you were not going to do business with people who participated in slavery. We totally applaud you for that. But in the meantime, there have been some little areas since the 60s where many of our communities, because of the changes in demographics and such, lost so much in the business level. And based upon the fact that one of Supervisor Burke's deputies came to us and made us aware of various reserves and such that's available within the government, we wanted to offer to you our services to look through the city, the county, and we're also doing the same with the president, though the first piece down there that is to the president is at his and Mr. Page's request, based upon the fact that they're trying to find ways to settle some of the issues that as a nation separate us. But in the meantime, if you guys will, please take a look at the written materials, and along with that, God bless you, thank you for the services you provide, and particularly, thank you very kindly for our festival, and we do hope that you can come out on the 28th for our 8-block festival, and along with that, Mr. Timothy Watkins has an incredible exhibit over at WLCAC, and dealing with babies in the belly of the beast and other things, and you guys just really ought to see that, not to get angry, not to cry, but to realize that there are some problems that have never been rectified in the city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very kindly.
Ms. Gloria Taylor?
Mr. President and members of the
Miembros del
council,
Consejo Municipal, señor
I'm
presidente,
here
estoy
today. This
aquí
is the
hoy,
last
este
day
es
of
el
Senior
último día
Citizens Month. And I'd like to
del mes para las personas de tercera edad. Me gustaría
put Mr. Nate Holden on the spot, I guess, since it was so inspiring to see these other people get their recognition for 32 years. I'm wondering if he would consider that I get my 30 years of recognition from the city council, which I put off 20 years due to the fact that I was trying to get my proper retirement. I would like to make a recommendation that there be a consideration for the amendment and update of the retirement code, which is 1933. And this is 2003, that they look at that code of, that for retirees and retirement, it's kind of outdated. And if you expect a person to live on $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, retired from the city 30 years, is putting us in a pretty awkward position. Because the county, I think in the state, they get $45,000 a year. Some people never work, and they get the benefits of housing, food stamps, 3 doctors or 4 doctors, and stay at home every day. They don't have to work in the areas that we have, such as South Central Avenue, or South Central LA, as you say, or all over our city. And they don't deal with the crime. They don't deal with the constant things that happen every day. They don't deal with the senior citizens having to go to the various places, for example. And these are for our senior citizens. When they go to the bank, they're not protected. They don't have a express line, which the city could probably check into that, because they do have a little money that they take their little retirement checks, and then they get robbed when they get home if they've been followed by the bank, someone at the bank. And this is one crime thing that happens in the 10th district and the 9th district. I also would like to say just a couple more things. If we could have, for the property owner, they're catching all the taxes now, but they do have an inspection, I think in your budget, that there is $40,000 a year given to those who come and inspect the bars on your homes, safety bars, and the people who pay taxes are the property owners, but they're the ones that's penalized because they have bars maybe that they can't escape bars, but somebody comes by your house at $40,000 a year.
Ma'am, if I may ask you to conclude, please.
As a senior citizen, I'm only speaking, that maybe that's one thing you could save in the budget. That's one area where you have inspectors that come out at $40,000 a year that could be given to some of the homeless senior citizens that are on the streets, our veterans who are there and have no homes and don't have any place, and they are seniors. So this is all I have to say, but I would appreciate it if I could get back with Mr. Nate Holden on my retirement and to update the code, which is, as was written, I believe, in 1933.
Thank you very much. Mr. Holden is here. He may respond to you on the sidelines. Laura Burns is our next speaker.
I want somebody from my staff to talk to Ms. Taylor once again. And Ms. President, just a moment to comment. She did retire some time ago. This was discussed with Councilman Gilbert Lindsey. She was under the impression that she was under one retirement plan, that's Ms. Taylor, and she was under another. And it was not due to her, problem made by her, but by the city. It's never been corrected. And
que fue acusado por los excesos
She's been
corregidos.
penalized all these years, 30 years of service,
30 años de
$5,000 a
servicio,
month.
$1,000 al
City made a
mes.
mistake.
La ciudad
I tried to
hizo un
correct
error y
it.
traté de corregirlo.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Ms. Burns.
Señora Burns.
Yes, I'm here to speak on the issue of Lincoln Place. 2 days ago, the Grassroots Venice Neighborhood Council passed a resolution urging Councilwoman Misikowski to do everything in your power to preserve the historic Lincoln Place apartments, and I would urge all of you to do the same. I'm asking you to invoke Article 4 of the LA Administrative Code, which gives you the authority to stay any action on any demolition or alteration permits that exist until you can determine whether Lincoln Place, for example, is a historic resource. Now, the Building and Safety Department has issued ministerial over-the-counter permits. They have nothing to do with the vesting tentative tract map that you approved back in November. However, the Building and Safety is using your findings back in November, giving them the authority to say that Lincoln Place is not historic. Back then, you found that by a preponderance of the evidence, Lincoln Place is not historically significant. However, these are the people who disagree with you. That is, all 8 commissioners of the California State Historical Resources Commission, the current State Historic Preservation Officer and an ex-State Historic Preservation Officer, experts in the field of historic preservation, including the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the LA Conservancy, the President of the Society of Architectural Historians, the President of the Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture, that's 245 schools, 5,700 faculty members, a board member of the Society for American City and Regional Planning History, the Venice Historical Society, the list goes on and on. It includes the National Organization of Minority Architects. But however, you basically, with your decision and now Building and Safety, is saying that the largest Garden City apartment project in the entire nation, in the history of this country, is not significant, done by an African-American architect, is in no way significant. Now, you believe that the preponderance of the evidence says that these people are all wrong, and this is your evidence, and there are 2 lawsuits out there filed against you now that you're going to have to defend. These are your experts.
If I may ask you to conclude, please.
Can I just one? Okay. An anonymous author in 1993 of an EIR who nevertheless stated this property is only 40 years old and we cannot know at this time if it's significant or not. The 4 members of the LA Cultural Heritage Commission who do not have any expert qualifications, they had a ruling in 2000 and overruled their own staff recommendation. Emily Gable-Luddy from the Planning Department, who it was her obligation to tell you that there was expert opinion out there that you must consider, and she did not do that. Or she said that it was irrelevant, you might say. And now, Building and Safety is saying the Los Angeles City Council. We went to the Cultural Heritage Commission and asked them to invoke Article 4, and they said we cannot do it because the LA City Council has determined it's not significant. Now, Mr. Reyes, you said back then that Lincoln Place was tragic, but I would submit to you that this is not just tragic, this is a travesty. You cannot defend this in a court of law.
You've made your point and you've made it well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This concludes public comment for today's meeting. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motion shall be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Hahn requests to be excused on Friday, July 11th for city business, meets policy.
Ms. Hahn is excused.
Councilmember Zine requests to be excused on Friday, July 18th for personal business, meets policy.
Mr. Zine is excused.
Councilmember Misikowski requests to be excused on Friday, July 11th for city business, meets policy.
Ms. Misikowski is excused.
That clears the desk.
Members, are there any announcements today? Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tom LaBonge and I tomorrow will be opening Yucca Park in the heart of Hollywood, a great new urban park. Invite the community, others to come down on Yucca Street, just there between Highland and Cherokee, and come down, see 11 o'clock in the morning with Yucca Park as we open it up. We opened Selma Park earlier this year in Hollywood, and we'll continue that great momentum there in the heart of the city. We hope that people come with their families and see this urban oasis. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Other announcements? Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of events taking place in the West San Fernando Valley. I want to inform our viewers, and one is tomorrow, Saturday, May 31st, a community celebration, community cleanup, and volunteer cleanup meeting site will be Reseda Park. That's at 18411 Victory Boulevard, Reseda Park, Victory, and Reseda Boulevard. Also tomorrow, used oil and filter recycling event at the 6505 Zelza in Reseda. Curbside collection of bulky items all day district-wide, so contact my office if you have items you want picked up tomorrow in the 3rd Council District, and also a free picnic and environmental service fair, 11 to 3 at Reseda Park. Again, that's at Reseda and Victory Boulevard in the Valley. And Sunday, Shaquille O'Neal, the Lakers star, will be joining us for Crush Domestic Violence Poker Ride. We'll be meeting at 9 a.m. Yankee Doodles at Victory in Topanga. And later on that afternoon, there'll be a concert, Warner Center Park with Air Supply. So it's a full day of events, Saturday and Sunday in the West San Fernando Valley. I also want to bring your attention something that's going to be on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. on FX, and it's that horrific North Hollywood bank shootout. It's going to be televised this Sunday at 8 p.m. on FX, and we have a little preview for our viewers, if we can please play that.
Johnny, what's your ETA? Frank, I'm about 10 minutes out. I'm going to need someone to walk me in here. This outfit looks like a parking lot.
Multiple suspects, body armor, AKs. It looks like our guys, Donnie.
We train so we're ready. And that way what we do, it's automatic. We don't have to think about it. It's second nature. It just comes instinctively.
No, I don't think they have any intention of giving up. We're seeing a resource. Firing non-stop. Kelly, I can see they have gone back into the city. There's a lot of them out there.
You saw, remember that scene from a few years back, North Hollywood shootout, and this was put together dramatic for people to see. It's called 44 Minutes, again, this Sunday, 8 p.m. on FX, and it's really worth viewing. The heroic action of the LAPD officers. Many officers shot. Thank God no one was killed. Many civilians shot. The community was torn up at that event. None of those officers walked away, didn't run away. They remained there and vigilant, determined to do what they're paid to do every day. So this Sunday, 8 o'clock, it's something that you would really want to see. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Thank you for that segment as well. Other announcements? Mr. Zine, I can't believe you forgot one taking place tomorrow at about 5 p.m. I see Ms. Gruhl near you. I believe at Birmingham High School.
En la preparatoria de Birmingham.
The East-West game.
Oh, the East-West game tomorrow afternoon at Birmingham High School. Dennis Line and I will be there. What time? I know it's from 2 to 5. Are you coming too, Alex?
This is flipping the coin.
Oh, we flipped the coin. Okay.
It's annual East-West game.
Annual East-West game at Birmingham. Football.
Football.
Dennis and I were there last year. I was able to represent Alex at the event, and so it was great. So we decided to go back again this year.
She's the east sider on the west side.
Ella es parte este y eso es parte de este. Gracias. Eso va a ser un evento muy lindo. Señor Pacheco.
What's the name of the football field at Birmingham High School? Oh, I know that. It's some military guy.
No.
Yes. Bradley. Tom Bradley?
Yeah.
Tom Bradley. Don't forget. He was a military man.
And he was a police officer.
Yeah, he was a military man. Thank you, Mr. Historian.
Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. President, colleagues, I just want to invite everyone tomorrow to Elvera Street in Kiosco. We're having a big event for the deaf and hard of hearing community, sort of a fair for services for the family. We have a lot of providers and we have a lot of artists working with our deaf and hard of hearing children and youth who also present their artwork. So tomorrow, starting around 10 a.m. through the afternoon, we will be having that fair. So I'd like to invite everyone to join us there.
Thank you very much. Final announcements. we have adjourning tributes today? Any adjourning tributes? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Secretaria, tome lista. Se levanta la sesión.
Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.